comes to you from Arizona. The Royals lead the major leagues with 23 spring training wins. That is a team record. They only have 3 more exhibition games to go, including tonight against the National League Chicago Cubs. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Surprise. I'm Ryan Lefebvre along with Rex Hudler, and tonight you're going to get a chance to see James Shields on the mound for the Royals. And Hud, the next time he takes the mound will be in Chicago on opening day.
Yeah, and I know he's ready, and the rest of his teammates are, Ryan, but I'll tell you what, we're going to watch some video of him, and the way he keeps that ball down is exactly textbook what you want a pitcher to do. Watch big game James. This guy has a command of the strike zone like none other, especially with that excellent changeup. And talking to some of his teammates that had to face him in the past, wow, are they happy he's on their team now. Look at those locations. Everything right down at the knees. Good sinker, changeup combination. Going to be a lot of fun this year with him going.
One of the familiar sounds in Arizona for the Royals this year has been the crack of the bat as they lead the major leagues in runs scored. The Royals and the Cubs, and the first pitch is next.
Upcoming season, Friday on Fox Sports Kansas City.
Back in the nick of time, and that is the first pitch of the game. James Shields to a familiar face, David DeJesus, the former Royal for parts of 8 seasons, now in his second year with the Cubs. And DeJesus is having a good camp for Chicago, hitting .380. No balls and 2 strikes.
James Shields going right after him. And you know, DeJesus, he'll take a lot of pitches typically. To get him 0-2, that's a good thing. Just go ahead and pound the zone. Hard, heavy sinker, excellent changeup, occasional breaking ball.
And he goes off speed, and DeJesus is down on 3 pitches. Great start as we take a look at the Cubs lineup tonight. The Chicago Cubs last year lost 101 games. That was their first 100-loss season since 1966. So trying to rebuild the Cubs with players like first baseman Anthony Rizzo, followed by the veteran Alfonso Soriano. Cubs will be using the DH tonight with the American League rules. And this is Steve Clevenger who takes a strike.
I mean, Salvador Perez, he just commands James Shields. Now, you would think that Shields might command Salvi, but already this spring, they've caught each other 4 or 5 times. They feel right on the same page with him, and this being Shields' last start before the opening day, it's beautiful to watch him.
Hosmer plays the second bounce and gets it to Shields. 2 up, 2 down, and now Ford will take us around the horn as we look at the Royals defensively tonight.
Yeah, you know what? It's a typical lineup for Ned Yost outside of Johnson. Elliott Johnson playing the shortstop. But I talked about Salvador Perez. You know, he's had a very good spring. It was interrupted a little bit like some of these guys by the WBC, but he's back in command. You see Elliott Johnson getting his start at shortstop. And Moose out there, and Kane. Some of those outfielders now, they might have to deal with that sun early.
And Johnson ended up being the player to be named later in the deal with Tampa Bay. Of course, we knew all about James Shields and Wade Davis, and there wasn't a lot of attention paid to the player to be named later. But Elliott Johnson has been a very pleasant surprise in spring training with the glove, with the bat, and running the bases.
I'm still a little shocked that Joe Madden would give him such a quality utility guy like him. He's a veteran. He can do a lot of things. And credit Dayton Moore and his staff for holding out and getting Johnson and commanding this guy. You know what? You're only as good as your 23rd, 24th, and 25th guys. And they've got some good ones. Ned's got a good veteran bench, and that's a good sign.
Two and one on Anthony Rizzo. Big time prospect once upon a time in the Red Sox organization. He had 15 home runs for the Cubs last year. A piece of Shields' glove, and he deflects it perfectly over to Johnson. And James Shields in his final tune-up. He's got a smile on his face after that play. He gets the Cubs in order. Royals are coming up.
Big game.
Royals baseball is brought to you by your Kansas City Chevy dealer, the official vehicle of the Kansas City Royals. As the sun sets in the desert and on spring training, 3 exhibition games to go. And here's how Ned Yost has the Royals lined up tonight. And as HUD pointed out in the top of the first inning, all the regulars are in there tonight, with the exception of Alcides Escobar. He played in the earlier game today. Ned Yost and the Royals are in Maryvale against the Milwaukee Brewers. Escobar played in that game, so Elliott Johnson is at shortstop. Scott Feldman will start for the Cubs. The Royals have seen quite a bit of him when he was with the Texas Rangers, both as a starting pitcher and out of the bullpen.
Well, the Cubs, they're going to be tough. If they have some starting pitching, if it shows up, they really need Feldman. Now, this spring he's been lit like a Christmas tree. Sinker baller, if you're not down, you're going to get hit in this air here. It's very light. It carries, and Dale Sweem's hoping for the best for their veteran. That when you go up north and it gets cold, the sinker bites a little better and goes down. So they're staying with him. But he's had a rough spring. Sinker slider.
One ball, one strike. Other than wearing short sleeves and working on your forearm tan, there is nothing good for a pitcher in Arizona. The ground is hard. Every ground ball seems to get through. The ball carries. And Alex got a pitch in on his hands. He may have cracked his bat, and he has a leadoff single. And that adds to his .413 batting average as we look at the Cubs defensively, presented by Ford.
Oh, there they are. Now, this team is mixed in with a little bit of some veterans out there. DeJesus is out there now. Soriano, I believe he's DHing tonight. Rizzo, this kid's at first base. He's a good-looking player. But Cubs coming off of a tough season. 101 losses, like you said. They're hopeful that they don't lose 100 again. But that defense is going to help them. DeJesus is a good veteran player. Not a blazing base stealer, but a good athlete, gets good jumps in center.
Chris Getz with Alex Gordon at first base. And of course, one of the big stories in spring training this year was second base. And for the second year in a row, Chris Getz and Johnny Giavotella competing for the starting job. Although last year we were all a bit surprised that Yuniesky Betancourt got the playing time that he did at second base. But this year Getz wins the job. He's the everyday player. He's had a very good spring at the plate. He was hitting at .389. And now rips it into the right field corner to drive in a run. And for the Royals this spring, that's their 40th run in the first inning.
Getz not wasting any time. New batting stance this season. Crouched down a little bit lower. So he's working with Jack Maloof, the new hitting coach. Working on Getz, keeping that ball down on the ground and not popping anything up. Utilize that speed. Watch his inside. He turns on it. That's a nice piece of hitting there. 3 bases. With Billy Butler coming up. So Feldman early still staying up with his pitches. He's going to get pounded by the hottest hitting team in spring training.
Billy Butler leads the Royals with 18 spring RBIs. And he will add to that with a shot into center field. So 3 batters into it. The Royals have 3 hits and 2 runs scored.
Last year, Ryan, when we were here doing our 2 games at the end of the spring, it was very similar. The Royals were tearing the cover off the ball. So I'm going to try to stay in my seat and not get too excited because they haven't won a game yet. But so far, what they've developed with several new players on this team is a winning attitude. And, you know, you ask any team and any manager in this league if they would rather have a winning record or a losing record, and they'll tell you they'd like to be right where the Royals are right now.
Well, the question has come up for me a million times, and I'm sure it has for you. You know, what exactly does all of this mean? Mike Moustakas is hitting .419. What does that mean as the Royals are 5 days away from opening day? And, well, it doesn't count for the regular season, but would the Royals rather be 23-7 or 7-23? Would Mike Moustakas rather be hitting .419 or .219? It doesn't mean anything other than the guys go into the regular season feeling pretty good.
No, but I got to tell you from experience, I only had one good year in my 21 years, Ryan. And that spring, I hit a grand slam off closer Troy Percival. He was a young guy that threw hard. And from then on, I was confident, went on, hit 17 homers. I had a good year. You want to have good springs. There's no question. I mean, it makes you feel good heading out. You're confident. Rather than the other, when you struggled all spring, now you're like kind of going in soft stepping a little bit with that dauber down. You want the dauber up, confidence up, nothing wrong with that.
Two and two on Moustakas, and Feldman comes back after falling behind 2 balls and no strikes. And that's his first strikeout. It's the first out of the inning. I asked Ned Yost in an interview that was played prior to the game tonight, and you can see it again after the game, the Royals season preview on Fox Sports Kansas City. And I asked Ned, I said, well, you know, what means something in spring training and what really doesn't mean anything? And he said the way the guys have prepared, the way they've come out and they've played the spring training games with energy, ready to go at the first pitch. So what that tells me is the 41 runs scored in the first inning, and they've played excellent defense in the first inning. That, at least in the manager's mind, the fact that in a spring training game they're ready to go at the very first pitch, at least in the manager's opinion, that means something.
And you know, I would agree with him, but I can also say from experience, and so could Ned in his days, when you go north and it's 30 degrees outside and you're facing number 1, number 2, number 3 starters, it will change. They're not used to hitting in cold weather. It changes the whole environment. So we just have to wait and see how they get going, and maybe they can continue that torrid pace scoring runs in the first inning. But I don't think so. I mean, it's going to change a lot.
Feldman got the call. I'm sure Salvador Perez doesn't mind that, so long as James Shields gets that same call. Salvador at 375, and as Hud mentioned, he was gone for a while at the World Baseball Classic, where Venezuela was a surprise early exit. Feldman now with back-to-back strikeouts, after giving up 2 runs on 3 hits to the first 3 hitters.
Hey, he said, you know what? First 3 hitters of the game lit me up. I can't let that happen anymore. I got to stop this myself. So he started working on his breaking ball. The sinker hasn't been working for him. And he got Moose and Salvi out on some off-speed pitches. That last one was a little slider.
And a strike to Eric Hosmer, having a good spring at 349. 2 home runs. He's driven in 14. He's been bothered this past week by a sore quad muscle, which was of very little concern to the Royals, but they held him out to make sure that would heal up. Cubs get the force at second base to cut down Butler. The inning comes to an end, but not before. The Royals open the inning with 3 straight hits and 2 runs to take the early lead.
Welcome back to Surprise Stadium. Joel Goldberg down in the Royals dugout. We see James Shields on the mound tonight, and no one on the field knows him better than Elliott Johnson, having spent all that time together in Tampa Bay. And what Elliott says about James Shields as a leader is that he will rally these guys on an everyday basis. And he said one thing that the players will find out is that as they get onto the bus following a road trip to head to the airport, Shields will grab that microphone and he will praise everybody for the good things they did, and then a little bit of comedy and putting everybody in their place as we see the ground ball that Mike MOUSTAKAS cuts off for the play to first base. But he said that he'll really keep the guys loose doing that, and there'll be a lot of verbal sparring going back and forth. But as guys go to the ballpark the next day, they will be in a good mood. As for the competitiveness, guys, he says he's one of the most competitive people he has ever met. Don't try to play cards with him. He will bluff, he will finagle, he will manipulate. He said he lives for competing. Guys?
All right, thanks, Joel. The line that always stands out for me in describing James Shields is now former manager Joe Madden once said, just describing how he is competing all the time. James Shields competes when he walks across the room. It's just the air that he gives off. And it's certainly the air that he gives off when he's on the mound. 15 wins last year, 16 the year before that. That pitch stayed up, and it's drilled into center field by Scott Hairston. And that's the first base runner for the Cubs.
Oh, you know, what's also evident about James Shields is when I read this about him in his last start last season, October 2nd, he set a club record with 15 strikeouts and a complete game 2-hitter with no walks. However, he lost the game 1-0. That's his last game of the year. Think he was just throwing in the towel and saying, "Oh, let's just mop it up." He was competing. Every time he appreciates the opportunity to be a big leaguer. And he was broken in early when he got in the big leagues with some veteran guys that played around in the clubhouse and kept guys loose. That's why he has that characteristic now in this late in his career.
And this is his former catcher for 4 seasons in Tampa Bay, DIONER NAVARRO. This is his first year with the Cubs. 4 home runs, 14 RBIs. One ball, one strike. The breakout season for Shields was 2 years ago, 2011. He did not have a good year the year prior to that. And what he was most unhappy with was his inability to pitch deep into games. So he worked harder during the offseason. He went from 0 complete games to 11 complete games. In fact, he had no complete games in 2009 or 2010. And then led the major leagues by a pretty wide margin in 2011 with 11 complete games. And that was the year where he went 16-12 with an ERA under 3 and almost pitched 250 innings.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's because he learned how to command the strike zone and throw strikes.
Will get the out at second base, and a quick turn by Johnson. And the Royals turn it into a double play.
Show off that cannon. Elliott Johnson over the top of the gets. First man sure, second man quick, and wow, what a throw.
Welcome back to the Royals dugout, joined by Royals starter Jeremy Guthrie, who, well, we requested to have him on, but you had a request, I guess.
Well, I just think, yeah, I think
I'll give this to you.
I think people often get to hear you ask the questions, and I think more importantly, they'd like to hear from you. They're tired of hearing from us players. So, just looking back, you've had a few days to soak in this new ball club. What are some of your initial thoughts here on the 2013 Royals?
My first thought is that the Chuck wants you to hold the mic closer. You're doing good for me, though, but don't forget about yourself because you're asking the questions. The team looks good. Great confidence. Good pitching staff. Not just saying that because you're standing here. Good vibe from the team. A lot of winning, obviously.
And obviously, you talk about some of the new pitchers, Shields, Wade Davis. You've already told some stories about what might happen, even though they haven't already happened. Us taking road trips, even though we haven't taken one. What has impressed you most about James Shields here in the couple days you've had a chance to observe?
What he might do on the road, on those road trips with you guys.
It's amazing, to think about the possibilities.
Just the possibilities are endless, and I won't be in there to see that. His leadership, his competitiveness, and really keeping things loose. I know that you guys had the big golf outing, and everybody was there, and I believe you guys were directing some traffic the other day in the parking lot early in the morning.
Yeah, no, certainly I think that's the reputation he brings, in addition to having pitched big games, as they call them, and logging a lot of innings. So those are things that certainly Dayton looked into and saw as a huge fit for us. As you look at some of the guys that we've added, in Elliott Johnson, maybe a George Kateris or a Brett Hayes. These are parts obviously we had to fill in, and have you had a chance to speak with Skip about some of the things that they brought to spring training thus far?
Yes, I think he likes a lot of the intangibles and the experience from those guys. By the way, it's really intimidating to be on the other side of this interview, especially from a guy that went to Stanford that's clearly much smarter than me.
I'm not much smarter. I just played baseball better, so I was able to go to the school. But I bet if we checked our test scores, they'd be very comparable.
The scores at Wisconsin aren't weighted the way they are at Stanford. But thank you.
No, they give Stanford students way too much credit. We're athletes, at least. Without baseball, I would have never made it. But that's beside the point. We do have a lot of smart players here on this team, and I think.
Who are the smart players?
Well, I'd ask you that question. Who do you think are the smartest players on the team?
The smartest players on the team. Well, the folks in Nebraska would love it if I said Alex Gordon, because the pride of the Huskers and all that. I'm looking up and down who the smart. Chris Getz.
Yeah, Chris is obviously very educated.
Gordon didn't like that.
I also get the feeling Elliott Johnson, very educated, well-spoken individual. That a home run there?
That is.
By Low Kane, and one of these young players that obviously is going to be huge for the team's success. What do you expect from the Canes and the Moustakases and the Hosmers?
Well, you're seeing young players, and I believe players that you really enjoy having behind you because of the defense that they bring. And I think that they're all guys that are going to continue to progress. In Lorenzo's case, if he can stay healthy, he can do it all with his legs and with his defense. And the guys would like I know you didn't really see it because you were focused on interviewing this TV guy, but the guys were hoping for like a home run call on Lorenzo Guthrie from you.
I don't know how to make those yet. I'll just, I got to stay in my lane. I don't want to do something I'm not built to do, so I'll stick with the interview.
All right. And, we can't do this because he's in the game. I was going to say, you could ask Lorenzo, that great media question that always comes out. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. It's, tremendous depth. One I hope to answer many times this year. How does it feel? But anyways, yeah, that's all. I don't think anyone else cares anything else we have to say, so we'll take it back up top.
I'm not sure that they cared at all about what I had to say, but your questions were good.
Well, I don't know if they were great, but we're working on it. We each got to practice, off season for that.
And with that, I believe it's over. He's in mid-season form, at least on the mound. Jeremy, good luck this year.
Thank you, guys. I just want to say hi to Rex Hudler, also on the other end, if he's on the other end. It's great to have Big Red back. Love having his energy, his passion for the game. So, hi, Rex.
Wow. Rex up there, he says, wow.
Hey, up top, man, he's pumping me up.
He says you're pumping him up.
Hudler's the man. If we can get Hudler down here, just pump this team up. We'll win all ball games.
You don't need me. But I'll tell you, I'd like to...
Hold on. A question to Hudler voice.
Yeah.
As you watch these guys, the Moustakases, and you see Hosmer, and these guys are young guys, but with tremendous talent. What do you expect from them this year? Nothing. I expect great things. What do you expect?
Don't put the mic in my face. Let's go into Hudler.
Hudler, what do you expect? Tremendous talent, young guys with passion for the game. What do you think?
Well, if we could get...
10 years? They got 10 years in him?
If we could get our number 3 starter to pitch like he's capable, he might win 20 games and we'll win.
I'll translate as I often do because you don't have the earpiece. He says that if we can get the number 3 starter to pitch the way he's capable, he's going to win 20 games.
Number 3 guy, he's going to work. He's going to work as hard as he can. He's a gamer. He's a gamer.
Wow.
Anything else, Hud, or are we done?
My questions are too long.
He's stunned. He's frozen.
Ryan says he's frozen. He's stunned by the Rex impersonator. The guys, by the way, in the clubhouse are enjoying this very much. Can you do like a shock the house or a cheese and crackers or one of those Hudler signatures?
I don't know those signatures. I need to learn those. I need to learn that.
Just say it with flair and, you know, flex a little bit, raise the roof. It's all good.
What am I going to say?
Say, dig yourself.
Dig yourself. Crackers.
Shock the house.
Shock the house. Let's go, boys.
Call the cops.
Call the cops. The Royals are back.
That is Jeremy Guthrie, everybody, a.k.a. Rex impersonator. I don't know.
Is there any chance that we could leave me out of it tonight?
No, I don't think so. We're never leaving you out of it, Rex.
We got Alex Gordon at the plate now.
I could tell you right now, and you guys can get a shot maybe, but the starting pitcher of tonight was extremely amused by all of that conversation, or at least the impersonations. With that, I'll say, Ryan, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Joel. He's got you down.
Wow. I wish I could get him down. I'd much rather be out there on that bump performing than up here, but still, look at them. They're loose. There's no question about it. And it's fun to see. By golly, once that bell rings, we won't see any of that.
Well, and Jeremy doesn't realize that he's put himself out there now where I'm sure the powers that be are thinking of a Jeremy Guthrie show where he could go in the clubhouse and interview his teammates. We can help him with his broadcasting career. That ground ball will get Johnson over to third base, so Alex is 1 for 2 after beginning the first inning with a single and a run scored. Chris Getz tripled in Alex Gordon in the first inning, tripled to right field, so he has driven in 10 in the spring games, and you see what he did last year, hitting .275 in a season that was cut short by 3 injuries, including breaking a finger when he was attempting a bunt.
Well, he described it as freak injuries, and I would agree with him. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen. I mean, a few, but not very often. Square around a bunt, and a bunter like him has his finger just a little bit up above that barrel, and it clipped it, and that was it.
Into shallow right field, and that will drop, and Getz is driven in 2 tonight. And the Royals in the bottom of the second inning have a 4-0 lead.
Tell you, he'll take that doinker right there. That was off the end, but I like the first at bat better, the triple. This was nice. It's a hard inside pitch. He pulls his hands in. We're going to show it to you. Now, this is the first at bat. Look at it, short swing. And that was the last swing. That was off the end, you could tell. I was wanting to brag on him the way he turned on that fastball because he's not known for his extra base hits.
Caught by Barney at second base. And after scoring 2 in the first, the Royals had 2 more in the second, beginning with a leadoff home run from Lorenzo Cain.
believer of anybody can lead by example. Also, anybody can lead by experience. And you know, I'm going to try to do my thing. I'm going to have fun in the clubhouse. I think that's one of the things that I do bring to the table is having fun and really being competitive. I think one of the main things that we focus on in spring training here is to create chemistry, and you know, inside the clubhouse and on the field as well. And I think that's translating into our games here in spring training.
And not only will James Shields be pitching on opening day, but you can hear the rest of that interview, which was conducted by Rex Hudler.
And I'm not in Jeremy Guthrie's league as far as asking questions, but it sure was fun sitting down with James for the first time, getting to know him a little bit, just asking him some questions about his competitiveness and stuff is really good. So you folks want to tune in on opening day, listen to Big Game James, and we'll watch him throw and we'll listen to what he has to say. Very articulate, fun, confident guy, and carries himself with confidence. It's really nice to see. He's a true #1 ace.
And he's pitched well so far tonight. Only given up a single, and he got that pitch in on the hands of Brent Lillibridge. And he will be thrown out by Elliott Johnson. One away in the third. There aren't many pitchers who are James Shields' age. And even though James has been around for a while, he is only 31 years old. But not many pitchers his age can say they watched Don Drysdale pitch. But his father, as he was growing up in Newhall, California, was a big Don Drysdale fan. And when James Shields was young, his dad used to talk about Drysdale and Sandy Koufax, and not only what good pitchers they were, but how competitive they were and how they would own certain parts of the strike zone. And so that was hammered into his brain before he was even a high schooler.
You know, anybody who's a Drysdale fan knows how Don Drysdale used to back hitters off the plate, wasn't afraid, liked to come inside, and that's evident. I'm looking at James Shields, how many batters he hit last year. That's 11. Now, you don't want to hit batters, but you want to make them uncomfortable by coming inside, especially at this level up here.
That pitch rides inside. 2 balls and 1 strike on Darwin Barney. Out in front, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And you know, Angels ace Jared Weaver, who's been real close the last 2 years in winning a Cy Young. His whole family and his dad were Drysdale fans, even his brother Jeff, and they all took a page out of the big fella by, you know, keeping hitters honest by busting them off the plate.
Gets another ground ball. Mike Moustakas throws out Barney, 2 down. The new look Toronto Blue Jays will be coming to Kauffman Stadium during the first homestand starting on Friday, April 12th. That Sunday will be Family Fun Day as well. So bring your friends and family out for the first weekend of baseball at Kauffman Stadium. And you can get your tickets right now at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Dave Sapelt is playing in left field for the Cubs. And takes a strike from James Shields. Good breaking ball. No balls, 2 strikes. You know, one thing that's really stood out for me with the first 4 starters in spring training, I mean, it seems like the hitters are 0-2, 1-2 every at bat. The walks have been reduced so much over years past. We hope that carries into the regular season, but the first 4 who have known they've been in the rotation have been challenging the hitters since the first game of the Cactus League. 3 ground ball outs for James Shields and 3 scoreless innings as the Royals lead 4-0. 4-0 Royals to the bottom of the third with the grass berm at Surprise Stadium filled up. The Royals have 3 exhibition games to go, including tonight. We're going to be joined in the booth by J.J. Piccolo, Royals assistant general manager, and talk about what's going on in the farm system. Before we get there, Rex and I were discussing this in the first couple of innings. You know, one of the trademarks of the Royals this spring, and you know, we know about the high batting average and all the runs scored, is all the runs scored in the first inning, or at least in the case tonight, in the first 2 innings.
No, it's been a great spring. Offensively, we've done a lot of good things, and now that we're coming to a close, we just need to carry into next week.
Ned Yost was saying that, you know, one thing that really counts for him as far as things he hopes that carries into the regular season is that the players are ready to go when the first pitch is thrown. Don't ease into the game. Let's try and win these games very early in spring training. The Royals have done just that. JJ, the immediate response among the fans and some people who report on baseball and report on the Royals, thrilled to get James Shields and Wade Davis, and at the same time saying to themselves and asking, what have the Royals done to their farm system? Well, let's let you answer that question. Well, what is the strength of the Royals farm system after those trades?
Well, we went through this exercise for hours on end, and at the very end, Dayton obviously had to make a difficult decision, but we felt like our farm system was very strong. Obviously, the guys that are up here right now, MOUSTAKAS, Hosmer, Salvador, they were all part of what was a very good farm system 2 years ago, and now they're where they should be in the major leagues. But behind them were players like Bubba Starling, Alberto Mondesi.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that one again. Mike Moustakas into the home run party deck, and that is his 5th spring training home run.
Moose was one of those guys that was down there you were developing.
Yeah, he was one of the key players that most of our fans and the industry knew about. And you know, but we had other players and guys that David Lowe had a great spring here now in AAA. But really the group that we're talking about now and we're excited about is the group that's going to be in Lexington, Kentucky this year. We have a couple guys at the top end in Christian Colon, Giordano Ventura. Chris Dwyer has rebounded very well so far this spring. So we still have some guys in AA and AAA that were part of that class in 2011 that a lot of people were talking about. But the bulk of the younger guys, and it goes in ebbs and flows, are now in the lower levels. So a lot where Moose and Haas and those guys were just a few years ago.
Okay, now, JJ, we're not going to see a lot of those guys this season. But every season, you're going to go through 35 guys during your course of your championship year, you hope. Who are some of the guys that Royals fans might be seeing this summer come up here?
Well, I think a couple that have been up. David Lowe's obviously a guy that we think very highly of with his offensive potential, can steal a base. The pitching staff are the guys. Giordano Ventura is a guy that we're very excited about. He still has some development left. He's going to need a little bit of time in the minor leagues. The timetable is hard to tell. His stuff is certainly major league stuff. We just have to prepare him for what the major leagues is going to throw at him.
He a hard thrower?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got a great
That's all we have is hard throwers.
Well, that's what we're looking for. That's what we need.
Strikeouts.
Yeah, we'll take them.
Now, how about Irving Falou? Irving Falou gave the team a shot in the arm last year when he came up, and he just recently been sent down. We might see him, I'm sure, don't you think?
Well, he's the epitome of what we want a Royal to be.
And we'll take David DeJesus all the way back, and it's back-to-back home runs. Moustakas and Perez. Well, your timing was perfect, JJ, as we're talking about the Royals farm system. A couple of gems from the system go deep, and now the Royals have scored 2 runs in each of the first, second, and third innings.
But with Irvin, he's really what we want in all of our players. He persevered. He had opportunities as a minor league free agent to go to other organizations. He felt like this was home. And after a number of years in the minor leagues, he finally realized his dream. Not only played in the major leagues, but helped our team win games last year. And he's certainly somebody I know Ned feels very confident in his abilities. And no reason why he can't do the same thing for us again this year.
I'll make a statement. I want you to just respond to it. It's not really a question, but I think it's important because if there's a trademark, that's a fair ball, and Eric Hosmer is going to end up at second base on a sliding miss by Sapelt in left field. When Dayton took over and you came to the Royals shortly after that, the focus was on the farm system, and you guys have built a wonderful farm system. But one thing that has been consistent since you've been with the Royals is patience. I can't think of a player, highly touted or otherwise, that has come to the Royals and didn't look like they belonged either physically or mentally.
Well, our staff, we've been really fortunate. We've got a lot of veteran minor league leadership in our managers, our pitching coaches, our hitting coaches, and our roving coordinators. And they're the guys we lean on. They're the guys that have been in the game a long time. They've seen guys go to the major leagues and maybe not quite be ready and know when to tell us, hold up, he needs a little bit more time. It is tempting, especially when you're struggling as a club and you think somebody can help the team. But we've known our time period was coming, so there wasn't an urgency to get the players there, but when they got there, they were ready to stay. And then really, Dayton has a major impact in how we think, and he's the one who has to make the ultimate decision, the toughest decision. And he gets so much information from so many people, and weeding through that and knowing when the time's right, it's a difficult thing to do. But we've been fortunate. Players have come here, played well, and handled themselves well. And part of this game is failure, and they're going to fail at the major league level more so than they ever have in their entire career. So the challenge is here in front of 30,000 a night, reading about it in the papers more so than they do in the minor leagues. So the mental preparation is something we put on our coaches and our staff to help them prepare, and they've done a wonderful job.
You know, Hud, you brought up the word temptation, and I can't think of a new general manager with a club that clearly needs a rebuild who doesn't use the word patience. I mean, they all say we got to be patient, but how many of them follow through with that patience? And after those 90-loss seasons start piling up, they start accelerating the program, and then the plan that was once in place can fall to pieces.
Well, and I think a lot of it, depending on the makeup of your major league club, if you have a lot of veteran players on the field, you might be able to squeeze a rookie in there who maybe will struggle some. Detroit did it last year in the outfield. They may struggle some, but if you don't have that veteran leadership and a club that's won on a consistent basis, you really have to ask yourself, is this the right time to bring a player up and put him in that environment?
Lorenzo Cain has homered tonight. Feldman didn't get that call. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, last year, JJ, you got Lorenzo Cain and Escobar in that Greinke deal. You never lost faith in him. He had a couple injuries that kept him out for periods of time. I was impressed with him and his athleticism and the fact that he had pop in his bat and he can run. I mean, if we see a full Lorenzo Cain this year, what do you think are some numbers that you could project for this young man?
Well, he's certainly a high ceiling guy. He's got a chance to hit 12 to 15 home runs, drive in 75, 80 runs on it. You know, right now he's hitting down in the lineup, so there's going to be guys on base. He's going to have opportunities to drive guys in, and his defense is just spectacular. I know when we first acquired Lorenzo, he's kind of the poster child of what we're looking for in our amateur draft. Speed, power combination with great athleticism who can play in the middle of the field, and he fits the ticket in every aspect. So, you know, there's no telling what he could do, Hud, but we're excited that he's healthy and he's had a solid spring and he's ready to go this year.
He's a guy that often gets overlooked. Talking about this year, you know, the discussion about the bounce backs from MOUSTAKAS and Hosmer, and a bounce back from Jeff Francoeur, and a full healthy season for Salvador Perez, and the starting pitching and more power in the offense, on and on. You don't hear Lorenzo Cain's name come up very often, but I was chatting with Rusty Kuntz the other day, the Royals outfield coach and base running coach and first base coach, and Rusty felt like Lorenzo could be the difference maker this year, that however Lorenzo goes could be a good barometer for how the Royals go.
Well, he's so gifted, and when you get a guy who has that power and speed combo, if he's getting on base, he's got a chance to steal a base. He's going to save some games with his defense in center field, and there's just so many different aspects of the game that he will impact in a positive way that I can certainly understand why Rusty feels that way, and I think we'll see it if he's able to be on the field and play 150, 160 games this year. And I know it would be just the experience, you know, playing every day, going through the grind of the major league season. He'll just continue to get better as the year goes on.
JJ, I want to ask you about some of the coaches in the system, because, you know, obviously you bring your players up, but We had a long time here in Kansas City where if there ever was a coaching change, we always brought in somebody else's guy from another organization. And now, you know, Rusty has been at the major league level. He's been at the minor league level with the Royals. He's tried to be in the minor leagues, but you guys keep calling him up. But this year the Royals made a change at bullpen coach. They made a change at hitting coach. There's Jack Maloof. And created a new position, an assistant hitting coach. All came from the Royals system.
Yeah, and that's encouraging for our staff because they all work. You know, they have goals and they want to see the organization do well. And Jack has been with us now for about 6 years. He's seen these players grow. Andre was here before we even got here, and he knows more about our players than any of us. Doug Henry was in AAA, and all the pitchers we've seen last year and we'll see here in the future, Doug's been a part of their development. And it just helps with continuity, and not only with the players at the major league level, but it also helps with continuity what's going on the minor league side, because Jack and Andre work with all of our hitting coaches. Doug Henry's worked with all of our pitching coaches. Rusty Kuntz knows all of our managers and our hitting coaches. So there's a lot of continuity, and this staff is indicative of our development with players, but it's also indicative of development with our staff, and the minor leaguers will benefit, and these players will benefit. So it's a great situation right now, and you know, I don't know if Dayton had this one drawn up, but it's worked out very well.
Can you talk about our #1 pick last year? I watched him pitch the other day. I like his body. Big, strong, good lower half. You know, you like to see guys that are put together like that so they can endure innings and they can last longer. I was impressed with him.
Now
Zimmer.
He's a very, very impressive young man. He's big and strong, like you said. He's physical. Tremendous stuff. I mean, the other day he was 95 to 99, and it's early in spring and early in the season, and he's still doing it. But he's got the big breaking ball. But I think the thing that stood out more than any of the stuff so far is as you live with a player, we've realized a lot about his makeup, and it's all been tremendous. Hard worker, very attentive. He's like a sponge in our Chalk Talk meetings, and he's been a ton of fun to be around and really impacted other pitchers already. I mean, people know who the first-round pick is, but when they see him work and they see what he's doing day after day, he's the leader of the pack, and that's, you know, just really kind of icing on the cake with him.
It's Kyle Zimmer.
So Johnson is out on a strikeout. The Royals strike for 2 more runs. JJ, thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Appreciate
Thank you, Ryan.
Have a good season, JJ.
Right.
Way to go, man.
All right.
And as we were talking about the Royals farm system with JJ, 2 products of that system hit back-to-back home runs, Moustakas and Perez, and the Royals lead 6-0. It's been a great night so far. A 6-0 Royals lead and a beautiful Arizona sunset. If you're looking to spend opening day at Kauffman Stadium, you can still secure your seats to the home opener with the Royals ticket package, and they begin for as little as $8 a game. So you can punch your ticket to opening day right now at Royals.com or by calling 1-800-6-ROYALS. So 6 runs scored by the Royals, 1 hit and no runs allowed by James Shields. He has faced the minimum in the first 3 innings. And now second time through, and a strike to David DeJesus, and Shields made quick work of DeJesus to begin the game. Struck him out on 3 pitches.
You just saw that last sinker. That ball's sinking a foot at least. Good action on it.
Well, and you've been bringing up his ability to keep the ball down. 8 of his 9 outs tonight have been on ground balls. Now the plan is for him to go about 4 innings or 60 pitches, whichever comes up first. And I guess that's pretty typical for a starter in their last tune-up, to not get as high as 90 or 100 pitches like we hope to see him turn in on opening day. So I guess he realizes that you better get his work in there, because if he's got a kink or 2 he wants to work out, he doesn't have a lot of pitches to work with.
It's just 31 pitches he's expended in now the 4th inning. He's going after people. That's what's great. That's why he's been throwing complete games. He pounds the strike zone. He challenges hitters. And there's Dave Island. Can't wait to talk to him about what he thinks about his new arms that he's gotten, and he's got a leader. He's got James Shields, and also Wade Davis, who's a competitor. He's got a little mean streak in him. And that's the way Dave Island was. You know, he's kind of an old school guy, you know, doesn't say much, like to pitch inside. Last year was his first season, and he went through that starting staff like us Royal fans did. Painfully early how it was. It was tough. And he had a hard time with that. So I know he's pleased with the way everybody's going about their business here. Another ground ball.
Bobbled momentarily by Hosmer. That's the second time that Clevenger has been retired on a 3-1 scoring play. And Shields continues to face the minimum, 2 up, 2 down in the 4th inning.
You know, you guys are talking about you hope things carry over into the regular season, but well, one thing we know is not going to carry over is this beautiful weather. Okay, and in baseball in a warm weather climate, it's going to change things. There's no question about that. But what won't change is the defense that plays behind Royal starting pitchers. All of these guys have pride in themselves. The corners, Moose and Haas, had to go through their first full year last year, and believe me, after a young player, an everyday player, plays a complete season, now he knows what to expect, and he's more mature. One thing these guys talk about is the pride they have on defense, so that's going to help that pitching. And everybody that knows baseball knows that pitching and defense go hand in hand, and some timely hits is going to help too. I think the biggest question mark is going to be, are they going to hit?
Well, they're pitching tonight and they're hitting tonight.
Wow.
Shields has 3 strikeouts to go along with 9 ground ball outs.
Royals on top of the Cubs 6-0. Welcome back to Surprise Stadium. Joel Goldberg back down here in the Royals dugout, and got a little update from Jeremy Guthrie after he finished the interview where he interviewed me. This was all his doing. It was his suggestion, and then he walked back over and said, you know what? I think we should do something like that every week during the season for the pregame show. I said, well, what are you thinking? And he said, let's call it the Jeremy Hud 3 show, and I'll interview teammates sounding like Rex Hudler. Guys?
Jeremy Hud 3 show.
The Hud 3 show, yeah.
Yeah.
He's serious. He's serious, so I'm promoting it now.
No. He just needs to stay right on top of his game.
I'd watch that.
No.
I would watch it. And as the host of the pregame show, I welcome the material. Maybe he could interview you on time, Hud.
Oh, man.
Hud 3 interviewing Hud.
You'd have to sound like Jeremy Guthrie, though.
So what you're saying is we don't need 2 Huds?
Yeah, and I'm not much of a tweeter, and I'm not one of those guys that have my gadgets like he does. I don't know if I could do him or not. That personality of his, he's got a great personality. That's going to get out.
2-1 on Alex Gordon. Jeremy Guthrie is 3rd in the Royals rotation, set up as James Shields, Irvin Santana, Jeremy Guthrie, Wade Davis, and then it was announced yesterday that Luis Mendoza has won the number 5 spot in the rotation. Hit very well to left field. And now the Royals have hit 4 home runs tonight. Kane in the 2nd, Moustakas and Perez back-to-back in the 3rd. And now Alex Gordon has hit his 6th spring home run. And the Royals have scored in each of the first 4 innings.
Oh, you know what? If we see that bat leave the yard off of Gordon's bat with regularity, that's going to make a huge difference, even out of that leadoff spot. Now, he didn't pull that one. He went opposite field with authority. So Feldman, again, is continuing to pitch like he has all spring with that sinker that's not sinking. It's sinking over the outfield fence. Oh, the Royals are just teeing off on him. Look at a small flamingo leg kick, puts it down quick, uses his hands, but to hit a ball to the opposite field, you got to just wait a little longer and then put that A swing on him.
Alex hitting well over 400, 6 home runs, 15 RBIs.
Woo. Save some of those.
And Getz is 2 for 2. He's driven in a couple. And that's hit into left center field, a pitch that stayed up again for Feldman. And Chris Getz is 3 for 3. There are no outs in the 4th inning, and the Royals already have 11 hits off of Scott Feldman.
Wow. And you know, Chris Getz, he's on a mission this year. No question about it. But in tonight's game in particular, he's hitting in that 2 spot. You love that. You know, you get to hit, you're going to get some more at-bats, at least one more at-bat. And he's thriving. He's getting some fastballs. He hit a little breaking ball for his 2nd hit, but he turned on the first one for the triple, and now that one was a fastball, a high one. He fought it off and shot it out there in left center.
Billy Butler drove in a run in the 1st inning and then hit a soft line out in the 2nd. Billy leads the Royals with 19 spring home runs, or RBIs. 1-1.
No, I got to talk with Billy Butler at length, and I asked him about the home runs last year. I mean, 29. I mean, Billy, that's a lot more than you've had in your past. What was it? We know it was your leg strength. You know, you worked your legs. How you this year? He said he's stronger this year.
Cubs turn a double play, and Billy is 1 for 3.
I mean, a stronger Billy Butler? I guess he's hungry. He wants more.
Well, he got the nickname last year, Country Breakfast, and Billy, you know, makes fun of himself. His teammates have fun with him because he doesn't have the magazine cover body But do you know how many times Billy Butler has been on the disabled list in his career? 0 times.
There you go. He's country strong.
Feldman to the bag to get Moustakas, who has one of the 4 home runs tonight. And home run number 4 was hit by Alex Gordon, leading off the 4th inning. And at the end of 4, the Royals lead 7-0.
Joel Goldberg back here in the Royals dugout, joined by Royals hitting coach Jack Maloof. Been with the organization now 6 years, and now first as the team's hitting coach. What have you seen here in spring? I know we've seen a lot of runs put up.
Well, it's been fun and it's been exciting, and I think it's what we're seeing offensively is just a product or a result of the kind of work they've been doing.
We're seeing, again, a lot of runs here tonight. We talk about the product of what you're doing. What has clicked so well with this group and with you and with Andre David out on the backfields?
Well, I think we're coming together as a group. They've been together. Now we're playing together. And from an offensive standpoint, what they've heard is that if one guy doesn't do it, we're looking for the next guy to pick him up. So, you know, tonight is just really good, and it's something that, again, we've talked about, and they've worked really well together. Nice
play by Mike Moustakas there at third base. 2 hitting coaches now this year, you and Andre David, who's been in the organization for so long, and that's becoming more common in baseball. A lot of teams are doing this with 2 hitting coaches. What are the benefits, and how do you split those duties?
Well, I think that from a working standpoint, I'm to the point where age is creeping and my arm doesn't work like it used to, and so Andre helps me there with the work aspect and making sure that they're getting that in, and we get along really well. The relationship has been built over the last 6 years. He has a real good idea of what I'm thinking and how I work and what I want, and it's just been a real good relationship and something I think is rubbing off on our players, and so you know, it goes to that end.
All right, a lot of players that fans want to focus on, and maybe none more than Eric Hosmer, because everybody saw the potential his rookie year, setback last year. Where is he at right now?
Well, Eric is still working through some things, and you know, he's had his moments where the ball jumps, and you know, certainly his batting practices have been extremely good, and the carryover into the ball games, it's just a matter of time. And his selection, for the most part, has been good. So if that continues to be well, the swing is there, and again, it's just a matter of time.
I think we've all now become accustomed to Alex Gordon playing Gold Glove defense and being that productive leadoff hitter and contributing in so many ways. We saw him hit a homer before. He's one of the stronger guys that any of us know. What's the power potential for him?
Well, I think, you know, for me, I hate to put any limitations on anything, but, you know, if he doesn't hit his 2025, you know, I would be a little shocked. But again, it's something that all of them have to grow into. They've got to, and we've talked about their potential, and that's what we're trying to work on is their potential. And if we can do that, I think it'll be a lot of, you know, everybody will have fun at the ballpark.
Well, speaking of guys that have hit home runs tonight, and there are 4 of them, but Lorenzo Cain with a home run and had a little bit of a hand injury early in camp, but he's been healthy since. What do you think he can do with a healthy season?
Well, if he stays healthy, the kind of player that and the tools that he has, I mean, he's the key to one of the keys to this offense, and certainly defensively, he's going to play center field and do real well. If he stays healthy, again, the potential for him to doubles, home runs, RBIs, I mean, he's going to be in the middle somewhere of that lineup. And again, he's an exciting player, stays on the breaking ball real well, is working on his selection. It's just, you know, like all of them, it's another really good, you know, guy to watch, and I think the fans will enjoy it.
You know, Rex was talking a little while ago about, you know, just a matter of days that we won't have this warm weather. It'll be the cold weather of Chicago, and of course, guys love this warm weather. How do you judge, you know, what you see in games here from a hitting standpoint, the numbers, the, you know, different air and all that kind of stuff here, power numbers? How does that translate for you?
Well, you know, it's when the season starts, it's a different environment. There's no question about that. It is for Chicago or whoever else we're going to play, certainly in the cold weather. We've talked about it as a group, and I don't care if it's 40 degrees with a wind chill of 20. If we're asked to play, we've got to go out and play and be the kind of offensive club that we've been down here. And I get it if the environment changes, but we've got to adapt, we've got to adjust, and hey, it's going to be cold for the White Sox players too. So, you know, we've got a date with Mr. Sales on Monday, and so we'll go, and we'll take one day at a time, just like we're doing down here, continue to work, and we'll see what kind of results we have.
Last thing for you before we let you go, and this is a lot of Royals fans getting their first chance to really see and hear you on our broadcast. Just in general, what are your hitting philosophies?
Well, the underlying ingredient is aggressiveness, and I'm not trying to have them look to do anything with the baseball other than square it up. And if we catch a ball early and we use the pull side of the diamond, we do that. In a two-strike approach, we're thinking, you know, more towards the middle of the diamond, and we'll respond to the baseball in covering the plate. If again, MOUSTAKAS had a two-strike count tonight, looking through the middle, caught a ball like he can, and hit it out of the ballpark. So, yeah, those types of things happen. But I'm one for fundamentals and selection, and the ability to stay aggressive and positive through our approach.
Appreciate the visit. Looking forward to a fun 2013, Jack.
All right, Joel. Thank you.
All right, that is the new hitting coach. One of the new hitting coaches. Might catch up with Andre David in a little bit, but right now let's go back upstairs to the booth.
All right, Joel, thank you. And with one out, the Rangers get a couple of base runners against James Shields, a walk, and then a base hit, and that base hit coming from his former teammate, DIONER Navarro. And now Brent Lillibridge will come to the plate as the Cubs have two base runners in an inning for the first time tonight. Meanwhile, the Royals have had base runners everywhere with 11 hits against Scott Feldman. And that's the Cubs' first runner and first base hit since the second inning.
I like what Jack had to say about the weather. White Sox got a hit in it too, and they've been in the same environment that we've been in.
It's a wild pitch.
And I can tell you something, Sale's more of a fastball, big breaking ball guy compared to Shields. And James, with his ball going down, he's going to sting and jam a lot of fingers in that cold weather with balls going down, guys hitting balls off the end of the bat. So if that's any consolation, there could be some White Sox with some sore hands after the first game.
The Royals did quite well last year against Chris Sale, who was a Cy Young contender and had a surprisingly excellent year for the White Sox, moving back to the starting rotation. Johnson will play it behind second base. Royals get the second out of the inning. The Cubs get their first run. It is 7-1. And there it is on Monday. Coverage starts at 2:30 Central Time. First pitch at 3:10. James Shields and Chris Sale. Just to add a number to the Royals' success against Chris Sale last year, he allowed 8 or more hits last year only 5 times. 5 times all year did Chris Sale give up 8 hits or more. 4 of those were against the Royals. So they know he's good. And they respect the fact that he's good, but they also know that he can be beat. Darwin Barney gets it past the diving Mike Moustakas. Navarro scores. And the Cubs come up with 2 in the 5th inning against Shields.
And, you know, doing some sit-down interviews with some of the hitters, they were talking about how, asking them some questions about Sales, and they said, we just would like to get him out of the game early. Wouldn't have to deal with it. Get him early and often.
Dave Sapelt come up with a runner at first and 2 down. And even though I know the philosophy has to be, just as Jack Maloof said, I mean, it's going to be cold for the White Sox. It's also going to be cold for the Royals. They have to go out there and do what they need to do. However, I look out over the field right now, and everybody's in short sleeves. It was in the mid-80s today. Everybody's nice and comfortable. It's been like this all spring long. But Mike Moustakas might have a turtleneck on Monday. The forecast in Chicago for Monday, as of right now, is in the mid-30s for a high. Now, the good news is, a couple of days ago, that forecast temperature was in the low 50s, so it might change 4 times between now and then. But the game is such a feel game. And right now, short sleeves, warm temperature, feel good. It's got to feel at times, Hud, like you're in a completely different body when you've got long johns on and you've got a turtleneck on. I mean, your body just feels differently all bundled up like that, right?
Oh, no question. And that's what makes the workout the night before more important for the day before. That's important to go ahead and just get out there, get into your routine, taking batting practice, you know, hitting that ball and feeling what that's going to be like. And also for pitchers, they have to adjust to the ball. As in the warm weather, that leather expands a little bit. It's a little softer, but when it gets cold, it constricts a little bit, and it's smaller, harder, slippery, you know, very slippery the ball is. So there's adjustments for pitchers as well. But it's the day before the workout that really can help them get their bodies acclimated.
Foul tip. Sapelt strikes out. Shields strikes out 4 in 5 innings. The Cubs get 2 runs. The Royals lead 7-2. Royals baseball from Surprise, Arizona is brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealer. Royals have scored at least one run in each of the first 4 innings, and they lead 7-2. They have 11 hits already against Scott Feldman, who stays on for the bottom of the 5th inning. Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, and Lorenzo Cain are coming up. Feldman struck out Perez in the 1st, and then Salvador hit a home run in the 3rd. And it appears that James Shields will go no further than 5 innings tonight. 5 very good innings.
I'll say. So they're talking it out. Now you look at Feldman with that number 89, you might think, this guy, is he trying to make the team or what? He forgot his jersey back in Mesa. How about that?
There have been times tonight where it looks like he forgot his sinker.
He did. All spring he's been leaving it behind, but he wears number 46 during the regular season. But here it is again. Salvador Perez. Now this is a good pitch, actually. That ball's really good. That's down low. Look at how Salvi, though, kept his head down and just threw the hands on that ball. Didn't try to do too much with it. He went right with it and stayed up the middle. Nice swing.
2 hits for Perez.
Great head position.
Eric Hosmer has doubled, and he's grounded into a force out. 1 ball and no strikes. I appreciated Jack Maloof's honesty in his discussion with Joel that Eric Hosmer is still working on some things. I think, fans would love to hear that whatever ailed Eric Hosmer last year is a thing of the past, and he's wiped the slate clean and he's back to where he was in 2011, but the adjustments are ongoing.
Constantly. Had a nice little sit down talk with him today on camera that will be shown as the regular season gets underway, and was talking about some of those adjustments. He wanted to just get back to the basics, and really when you're successful at hitting, you keep it simple. You don't want to think too much. You want to do too much. That ball was blown by him there. Feldman put a little extra juice on it. But really, he knows that front foot was a cause for a lot of his problems last year, that lead foot. He was charging out, and he wasn't able to stay back. Pulled everything forward, and I sure hope that that quad's okay. I mean, he doesn't look like he's favoring it at all, but he needs to be careful, because once they do go north, if he's got a little sore muscle, let's see how he goes. Yeah, he slowed down right there. See, I think he's still favoring it a little bit. And that's not good. It'll get that cold weather. It restricts the muscles just like it does a baseball. And there's a couple of young, talented power hitters right there.
Lorenzo Cain led off the 2nd inning with a home run. He's 1 for 2. The Royals have hit 4 home runs against Feldman. Gordon in the 1st, Cain in the 2nd, and then Moustakas and Perez back to back in the 3rd. Every year there's at least one guy that stands out in the first week of spring training where you realize that this guy is not easing into camp. I mean, he's ready to go. He wants to make a statement. And last year for the Royals in spring training, that was Lorenzo Cain. And that goes back to his very first spring training at bat, when he stretched a single into a double. Down in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the job appeared to be his in center field, but he didn't play that way. He played like he was fighting for a job. And then the groin injury in Oakland when he made that nice play in center field. And as he was rehabbing the groin in the minor leagues, he tore his hip flexor, tore it right off the bone.
Well, here's a young man waited a long time to get an opportunity in the major leagues, and they let him have that starting job because they see the athletic ability that he has. And then for him to get hurt in that first week of the season, that just crushed him. And
That really set him back, and then that other injury was even worse. So good to see him rebounding. He's trained hard in the offseason. He worked his lower half, hoping he can stay away from that injury bug.
I thought Dayton Moore brought up an excellent point when Kane and Perez went down last year, and Dayton said, you know, that hurts us in two ways. First of all, you lose Kane and Perez. I mean, there's your center fielder and your catcher on the disabled list, so that loss is obvious. He said the other loss in looking at the big picture is you have young guys who are still getting used to the league. And he pointed out, you know, Kane and Perez, they haven't even been to all the American League cities yet. I mean, so if anything, you know, you want those guys to get that first full major league season out of the way, so they know what it's like to hit in Baltimore. They know what it's like to play in New York and play in Boston. So in two ways that hurt the Royals, and sure hoping for full seasons, full healthy seasons from the both of them this year. Feldman, after giving up 12 hits and a walk, is out, and the Cubs will make a Chevy call to the bullpen. Royals have 2 on with 1 out and a 5-run lead in the 5th inning.
Joel Goldberg back in the Royals dugout, joined by tonight's starting pitcher, James Shields. The night is over, and now, I guess, for you at least, spring training is over. Thoughts on your performance tonight and where you're at?
You know, I'll tell you what, tonight was probably the best I felt all spring training, and with good timing, this last start of the spring. So I'm ready to go. I felt really good out there. All my pitches were working. I was pounding the strike zones, getting ahead of hitters, and you know, when you do that, you're successful.
Does it feel like that light at the end of the tunnel now? Because I know guys have been itching for a while.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the spring training was extra long this year, obviously because of WBC, but you know, we got some really good work in the spring training. You know, I'm most impressed with the way these guys handle themselves in the clubhouse and on the field, and they translated everything into their at bats and as well as pitching. So you know, I'm excited to start the season off.
All right, at what point do you start focusing on that White Sox lineup? And well, you don't really need to focus on Chris Sale, but when do you start thinking about that?
You know, I've already been kind of doing some work on him a little bit, but you know, my main focus is to get through spring training right now, and now this is over, I'm going to go ahead and turn my focus to the Chicago White Sox.
All right, as a California kid who's now spent a lot of time pitching indoors down in Florida, how will the cold weather of Chicago treat you?
Hey, as long as I'm playing baseball, I don't care where I'm at. As long as I'm on the mound, man. It's once I get out there, I'm sure I'll be putting a good sweat going, and you know, it's a day game, first game, so I don't think it's gonna be too bad.
And you've had enough of these, but what's opening day like?
Oh my gosh, it's you know, it's an exciting day. It's an exciting day for baseball, you know, for the fans and as well as the players. So, you know, we worked really hard in spring training to get to this point on opening day, and you know, we're gonna have some fun with it.
And the other thing for you too now, you'll get a chance in that last game in Philadelphia to grab a bat, and I seem to remember you telling me in the off season that you enjoy that.
Oh, there's no doubt. Every pitcher, if you ask them, they think they can hit, you know. So I consider myself more of a 5 o'clock BP hitter than a game hitter. Hopefully I can, you know, swing the bat a little bit and get some hits, and my main focus is pitching.
All right, last thing for you. You've talked about the importance of leadership, but also of keeping these guys loose, and we've talked about that a lot over the last couple of days. How much do you enjoy that aspect of it? I know most recently directing traffic with Guthrie in the parking lot, and I'm sure much more in store.
You know, I'll tell you what, man. It's you know, I think it's the lost art in this game is having fun. You know, I think you have fun. You stay relaxed and you play the kind of baseball that you're used to playing. And you know, obviously, you know, in between the lines, we're competitors. I mean, I'm the ultimate competitor as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to go out there and try to pitch as hard as I can with my heart. And but having fun is, I think, is the main thing.
Well, we're looking forward to the fun and the games, and hopefully the complete games and all that comes with it. Good luck in 2013.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, James Shields getting great work done here tonight in his final spring training start. Ryan Hudd, let's go back up to you.
All right, thank you, Joel. Good to see a smile on his face, and nice to hear that his best outing as far as how he felt throwing all his pitches was his final spring training start. Going into opening day, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Elliott Johnson.
No, I'll say, I mean, you know, he alluded to hitting. But fortunately, he won't have to pick up a bat in Chicago. That'll be good. At his next start, he might. But let's just not get too far. I mean, let's take it one day at a time. Now, him and Salvi are going over some things. What he's doing now is he's reinforcing the positive to the young catcher.
Elliott Johnson shoots it the other way, and Sapelt runs it down on the track. And for the first time tonight, the Royals are scoreless in an inning. They made it interesting. Good pitching, good hitting. The Royals lead 7-2 at the end of 5. It has been a noisy night tonight as the Royals have 7 runs, 12 hits, and they have hit 4 home runs. And it's been a rather noisy spring for the Royals as they lead the major leagues in team batting average, runs scored, hits, doubles, on base percentage, on base plus slugging, you name it. Hoping, of course, that this will carry over into the regular season. We've talked quite a bit about hitting tonight with hitting coach Jack Maloof, and now we go down to the field, and Joe Goldberg has new assistant hitting coach Andre David.
Brian, thank you. And Andre, we had a chance to chat with Jack a little bit, and you know, the guys are hitting as they have all spring long. What do you think's been the biggest key to their success?
Well, you know, first off, Jack and I have been, when he came into the organization about 6 years ago, we hit it off, and we're connected in what we do, and you know, we know some of these players. They trust us, not only from a mechanical side, but from a mental side. And I think it's just carried over. They understand their plan of attack each and every day, and things have fallen into place.
You've had 6 years with Jack. You've been in the organization 16, but between the two of you, you know all of these kids. And even that have come through the system. You have seen, or he has seen, or both of you have seen. How much has that helped as far as credibility?
Well, I think it goes a long way. I mean, you know, the one thing we preached when we were down there in the minor leagues, Jack and I, from a player development standpoint, was being persistent and consistent and understanding that you take care of your own garden and things work out for the best. And we've basically transitioned it here into the big leagues. The guys we know, when we see something that's maybe out of sync or out of character, we attack it. They understand it. They've heard our voice. They understand where we're coming from, and they trust us.
Well, I had a chance to ask Jack about the relationship with you two, and this is becoming more of a normal thing, 2 hitting coaches on a team. How do you guys split up duties? I mean, do you take a handful of hitters, he takes a handful of hitters? I know nowadays guys want to be working on hitting almost all day long.
No, number one is I'm an extension of Jack, and we understand that, and that's great. We're very effective and efficient in what we do, and when we say things, you know, timing's huge in what you say to a player, especially at this level. And, you know, he takes the lead. I know what's going on. I know their plans of attack. If I see it and he's somewhere else on a different field, you know, I address the issue. We communicate on a daily basis, and there's no issues and no problems.
Well, I asked him about a bunch of players, so I'll hit you with some of the other ones. We already talked about Hosmer some, and Gordon and Lorenzo Cain. How about Mike Moustakas, who has such unbelievable power potential? Ended up falling the second half of last year. Where is he at right now?
Right now, he's as hot as anybody. I mean, you know, the one thing we've established here, and Moose has carried on that tradition actually from the minor leagues, is, you know, the cages is about mechanics. BP's about the approach, and the game's about competing with the baseball. And we've simplified things, and what you're seeing is not only Moose, but everybody else. I mean, Lorenzo Cain, his selection's been real good. So there's some good things coming out of this spring heading into the season.
Remember a couple years back, I was told that Salvador Perez had the best 2-strike approach. This was an opinion, but best 2-strike approach of anyone in the minor leagues. And it surprised me because I knew that he was a great defensive catcher. And sure enough, when he came up, you could see it, and we still see it. How special of a hitter is he? Because we know all about the defense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the one thing he can do is he's got great depth perception. I really believe that. I mean, he sees the ball early, has good recognition. He is getting much better at laying off some stuff down in the zone. You know, experience has handed that to him, and look for good things from Salvador. I mean, he's had a good spring. He squares up the ball. He's got a good mental gap-to-gap approach, and he's been consistent with it.
How about Jeff Francoeur? He'll be the first one that'll say that last year just did not go well at all for him. Recommitted in the offseason with the workouts, and he said that he's usually a slow developing hitter in spring training, but that maybe things have started to shape up here in the last week. What are you seeing right now from Frenchie?
Well, you know, he did start maybe a little slow. I don't have a whole lot of history where Jack does, but Jack had filled me in. But, you know, the last 7-8 games, I mean, he's scoring up the ball. And really, it's more of a mental approach with Frenchie. It's been real solid. He's got great plate coverage right now. He's picking his pitches. You know, basically less than 2-strike. He's hunting out his pitch, and he's been doing it well.
You guys will have your work cut out for you too, because you get pitchers hitting in the second series of the year with the early interleague at Philadelphia. If you had to guess one guy to maybe have a shot at a home run in interleague, who would it be?
I'm not even going to go there right now. I'll stay with the first 8 in the lineup.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. I know those guys will be competing heavily, but you guys will have to pay a little attention to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we're going to go in there and play it pitch by pitch this season. I think when you simplify things for everybody, you have team success and individual success.
Andre, appreciate the visit, and we're looking forward to being around the all 2013 with you and Jack, and looking for a fun year.
Thank you very much.
All right, Andre David, the assistant hitting coach, been working real hard out here with Jack Maloof. Guys, back upstairs to you.
All right, Joel, thank you. Here's Tim Collins, who's given up a single and has 2 outs. You know, Andre, who is one of the most liked guys in the entire organization, and you could tell with the interview with Joel, just a very friendly, likable guy, very calm disposition. You know, he was the hitting coach back in the old days when you had one hitting coach at major league level. He was the hitting coach in 05 and 06, and he has the perfect mentality to be the assistant hitting coach for Jack Maloof.
Yeah, and we'll get the Chevy call to the bullpen for Kelvin Herrera, and Collins looked good.
Tim Collins departs with a man at first and 2 down. The Royals lead 7-2, and Kelvin Herrera comes on to face Alfonso Soriano. We were talking hitting with Andre David and Joel Goldberg, but Tim Collins really needed a good outing tonight. His last 2 were rough. In fact, he gave up 7 runs in those last 2 outings. You liked his curveball in this 6th inning.
I did, and you know, the WBC, he didn't get used very much, so therefore his timing was off, and when he came back he was leaving the ball elevated and it was getting hit. But I saw some 93, a little bit of 94. It looked good. He was keeping the ball away from the lefties, and I like the depth he had in his breaking ball. And you know, we all know that's his out pitch, his jelly legger that he uses to keep those hitters off of his fastball. So I think they're pretty pleased with that, and I believe the reason they took him out was they wanted Kelvin Herrera to face the veteran Soriano here. So Ned's getting used to situations. Season's right around the corner, and this is how he's going to manage in the season. So these games, you'll see Dale Sween, manager for the Cubs, going with his regular guys in there too most of the game, because this is the time of spring where guys are starting to really get back to game speed as quickly as they can.
Yeah, most of the time the relievers are getting a clean inning. And the Royals lead by 5. If this was a regular season game, Herrera wouldn't come on here to face Soriano. You just have Collins finish the inning. But yeah, Ned wants to get those guys used to coming in the middle of an inning. That's having to warm up quickly, face a big hitter.
That's right. And, you know, that's what managers' biggest roles are.
Soriano goes the other way, and that is foul by less than a foot.
Okay, now we talked about Collins. Let's take a peek at Collins last year when he was holding a rock concert and he was dealing. Let's watch him. Now, he had a little bit longer hair in the back, but look at that breaking ball. That is what you call a hammer. Now, that one had a little bit more 12-6 rotation. That had a little bit of a sweeper away, but that is a wicked pitch for a righty or a lefty to try to hit. And he mixed in a few straight changeups. That, to me, was an effective pitch for him for both left and right-handed hitters. He could use it any time.
Soriano, after a very good swing, now has a bad swing and rolls out to Hosmer, and Herrera gets the job done. It is a scoreless 6th inning for Collins and Herrera. The Royals lead the Cubs 7-2.
Show your colors with Rally House and Kansas Sampler. We've got the biggest selection of KU gear anywhere, as well as Chiefs, Royals, Sporting Case.
You can subscribe to MLB.TV Premium today, and you'll watch spring training games live, online, or on the go. You can watch every regular season game live or on demand as well. Both MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat 13. Monthly and yearly packages are also available. Visit Royals.com for details. Michael Bowden stays in. He got the final 2 outs of the 5th inning. In relief of Scott Feldman, the Royals knocked him around for 7 runs, 12 hits, 4 home runs in 4 1/3. Alex hit one of those home runs. He has 2 hits. He has scored twice, and he has driven in a run.
Well, Cubs fans aren't exactly thrilled with Feldman so far. His first year and his first spring training with the Cubs. You know, they need some help on that mound while Garza heals, and got another guy on the DL, one of their big guys, their big starters. But you know, he's elevating, and Wrigley Field is a launching pad.
3-hit game for Alex Gordon.
If Feldman has trouble in Chicago not getting that ball down, he'll have the same results. That ball flies out of Wrigley. So here's Gordon, locked in. Look at that short little flamingo step, but his head is very still, and you can tell he's locked in. Doesn't have a lot of body movement, a lot of moving going on, and actually he looks to me like he's not lifting his leg up quite as high as he was last year. So he's not coming up as high, and he's keeping his head still. And look at Getz.
Chris Getz is 4 for 4. And he's a home run shy of hitting for the cycle, and he has a home run this spring. He has tripled, he has singled twice, and now he has doubled, and the Royals have 14 hits.
Yep, this guy can hit. He likes this new stance. Now, last year he was standing upright more, and for hoping for some more pop, more power. But this year he's squatting back down again. And I think he told me he's trying to keep it level, swinging more down on the ball. It helps him see the ball better with a little crouch in his knees. But you notice, Andre, David, we try to keep it simple. We're talking about pitchers, but overall, all of us. Simplify hitting. Keep it simple, and it's easier. You start lunging and jumping and getting tight in your hands. And you know, I watched them the last couple of days take batting practice, especially the pitchers. And George Brett was out there even. He's going, loosen up them hands. He's talking to the pitchers. When you have a loose grip with the bat, you can react quicker. Rather than getting up there all white-knuckled, you know, and getting sawdust out of that bat. Loosen the hands, relax, see the ball, throw them at it. Keep it as simple as possible, and then eventually they'll start getting you out, and that's when you make some adjustments. Not too often are these big league hitters going to make mechanical adjustments. Major league hitting coaches are mainly mental coaches up here. You adjust them in the minors mechanically a little bit more. But Frenchie needed to stop wrapping his bat. He was wrapping his bat last year, and we talked about it all the time, how he was wrapping, so therefore when he came through it was a long stroke and he popped the ball up. And this year he said he's stopped wrapping, he's kind of leveled the bat off a little bit, and he's going on a sweeter, shorter plane to the ball. It's a happy fan.
Billy's had some huge swings. He's down, no balls, 2 strikes. And, you know, in talking about keeping it simple, it seems like we hear it a dozen times every year. A hitter goes into a slump and tries everything to come out of the slump. You know, they work on their stride, they work on their hands, they work on their shoulder. And when they break out of a slump, of course, we ask him, what did you start doing? Billy strikes out. It's the first out of the inning. And how many times does a hitter say, you know what? I just went up there and tried to hit the ball hard. I was worried about my mechanics, and I was worried about my feet. And I said, you know what? To heck with it. Instead of trying to hit the ball to the moon, I'm just going to go up there and just hit a line drive.
Speaking of moons, it looks like an October moon.
Yeah.
Let's put a little witch on a broom in front of that baby. But right now, the baseball this spring has looked that big to the hitters, and there's nothing wrong with it. Give him some confidence. And how about Moose? To me, Moose is a little thicker. Looks like he's put on some muscle. And I was explaining that in Monday's game, how guys will train hard in the offseason. That's where you make your gains. And then gradually, as the season goes along, you'll lean up and get into baseball shape. But I was watching Moose again today with that little small glove that he has out there in that batting cage with that pitching machine, about halfway up to the pitching machine, not even back where the hitters use it, catching that ball. And I'm figuring it's 90 miles an hour coming at him, and he's catching the ball. And I said, Moose, get you a bigger glove. He goes, no, Hud, it makes it harder. It makes it harder to catch that ball. My focus. So he does that for his reaction at third base. And it's interesting to see him work, and then he'll forehand, he'll catch him over here on his side, and then he'll turn over and he'll get on the backhand, and the backhand's really tough to get that ball. And we were able to get a couple shots of that earlier today. There he is. Okay, watch him now. He's reacting. He's hot corner, doesn't have to move to his left or right lots of times. Look at him. He's adjusting his eyes because that ball sandwich doesn't taste too good. Got to be alive in there.
He's adjusting his eyes?
He is.
Okay.
Look at his eyes, wide open. I was messing with him a little. I'm going, Moose, you got to be kidding me. Imagine me messing with him. These guys take a lot of pride in what they do, both sides of the ball.
Well, whatever he was doing last year defensively, it was working.
Sure was. I mean, and obviously offensively, it's got to be working this year. Otherwise, Ned wouldn't have put him in that 4 slot.
He's 1 for 3 with a home run tonight, which gives him 5 for spring training. 14 runs driven in. And hitting about .425. 2-2. MOUSTAKAS, even though you can look at last year and think at the end it might have been a disappointment for him, he did hit 20 home runs and he drove in 73. But he played most of August and September with a sore knee, so he was really hitting on one leg. And now that knee is completely healed. He's as tough as they come, so you try and bring up his struggles in August and September and relate it to his knee. He doesn't want anything to do with it about that. No excuses. He just didn't hit the ball well. But even though it's easy to focus on the forearms and the biceps and the chest, I mean, power for these guys is from the stomach down.
That's right. And I will tell you, I just got into that.
Both runners will tag. So he just missed a 3-run home run. He'll settle for a sacrifice fly as he's driven in 2 tonight. And now the Royals lead 8-2.
There's a lot of moves this season last year, and Hosmer. Some of these guys experienced in their first year in the big leagues was what a lot of guys experience in their first full year. That extra 30 games is a lot. And Moose, he talked about that with me on camera. We got a lot of interesting stuff coming for the opening week of the season. That's a nice ball there. You mentioned it. He almost had a 3-run homer. Just missed it. He talked about how that extra month of the season was, we looked up and went, wow, man, we still have another 30 games to go. It always is for all players an interesting first season, and you gain sometimes 2 years in one. It's amazing how quickly you mature in baseball. You learn a lot day to day. 162 games. You find out a lot about yourself, your performance, how you have to handle it, you have to endure failure, endure the media every day, coming into the ballpark. A lot of life's lessons are learned in this game. That's why I call it the grand game. It's unlike any other sport. Timing, the mental anguish that guys go through. They want to perform, but you just can't. It's impossible to perform the way you want to all the time. How do you handle failure? What do you dwell on? Are you staying positive, or are you letting the negativity that surrounds the game get to you? You can tell by body language. Guys walking when you get in the clubhouse. You go around. That's why it's good to have veteran players. Elliott Johnson, James Shields come around in the clubhouse and go, hey, young man, what's your head down for? Get it up. Let's go. We need you. Come on. And when you're getting beat by another pro, so get your head up. You're not getting beat by some high school kid. I spent a lot of mental massaging in my day being a utility guy. I'd see young players having a hard time handling failure. And a lot of these young players, they only played 2-3 years in the minors, and they have good years. They never fail down there. You're going to fail up here, I can tell you that.
Still 2-2 on Salvador Perez. And that's why when people bring up goals for this team in 2013, hey, who knows? Royals might turn into be the Orioles and the A's of last year. the Diamondbacks of 2 years ago and improve by 20+ games. It's possible. However, I always say I think the goal should be, more than anything else, is that a year from now they're coming off a winning season where they prove to themselves that they can win more games than they lose. And it's not just theory. You know, we think we can be competitive. We believe we can contend. But come off a season where all of that, those string 90 loss seasons and whatever is behind them, and they know they can do it because they have done it.
And that environment's going to change because of the ability of the young position players, but the help of the organization getting them 4 starters helped a lot. And you know, I've talked to several Kansas City Royals fans in the offseason, and a lot of them just say, we just want to see meaningful games in September. Okay, we know that the Tigers are really good this year, and they're going to be tough to dethrone. A lot of people think that the Tigers are going to win the World Series right now. We just want meaningful games, and meaningful games means over 500. There's 2 wild card spots. You know, you don't have to win your division to make the playoffs, so there's still a lot to be out there hopeful, but you can't tell any one of these guys in that royal blue that they're not going to win this year. You can't tell them that. They're saying, no, we're going all the way. And that's the proper mentality, even though realistically the Tigers are really strong. But you never know. They could get hit by injuries too, like everyone does. And we had J.J. Piccolo up here, and I asked him, you know, you go through 35 guys in a season, sometimes 40. Who are we going to see? Because it's a given fact. The grind of 162, you're going to lose some guys. You got to have depth.
Ball's hit hard to third. Clevenger makes the play. A long at bat by Perez. He is out. The Royals score again. They've scored in 5 of 6 innings tonight and lead the Cubs 8-2. Chris Getz is the opening day second baseman and hitting .389 when the game started, and now he's 4 for 4. Here's where the Royals open this year in Chicago, a 3-game series. Chicago was a big surprise in the American League. They didn't quite make the playoffs. And for the Phillies, they had won 5 straight division titles, so last year was a huge disappointment, being at 81 and 81. It will be very strange in an interleague series in the second series of the year, but that's the way the schedule is now, with 15 teams in both leagues. At Chicago, at Philadelphia, and then home against the Minnesota Twins beginning on April 8th.
I could see the Royals with an 85 and 77 record. You talk to some of those guys, they may say, well, we might even do a little bit better than that, but that's a winning season. That's a playing meaningful games in September record right there.
One of of the last spots to be decided on the roster is a bullpen spot. J.C. Gutierrez is in the mix there. Gutierrez has played in the big leagues with the Astros and the Diamondbacks, and then had Tommy John surgery during the 2011 season. So last year was a rehab year for him. He only pitched in 19 games. That was in the Royals farm system, pitching here in Surprise with the rookie league level, then 5 games at AA, 10 games at AAA. So he'll come on in the 7th inning. Scott Hairston, DIONER Navarro, and Brent Lillibridge will face Gutierrez. Hairston walked and scored in the 5th inning. James Shields opened his outing with 4 scoreless, retiring 12 of the first 13 that he faced.
We saw his brother Jerry here on Monday, playing for the Dodgers. What a family, huh?
3 generations. 4 players over 3 generations.
4-player grandpa.
Grandpa, then Jerry Hairston Sr., and then Jerry Jr. and Scott in the big leagues. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Scott Hairston last year with the New York Mets hit 20 home runs.
Hey, now, Harrison family's not the only one that had greatness in it. There's David Bell. He had a grandpa.
Gus.
Right.
Most people do, but his grandpa's name was Gus.
My bad. Sorry. I'm just saying he had a bunch of family members in it in the big leagues.
Of course, his father is former Royals manager Buddy Bell, and Buddy, when he was managing at some point, came across playing against his son David, and found a way to not involve himself in the meetings when they went over the scouting report how to get David Bell out. Good fastball at 94 from Gutierrez. So Hairston is out. 1 down in the 7th inning. Let's go back to Chris Getz. 4 for 4 tonight. You were talking about the change in his batting stance.
Yes, and the magic of the guys that work for us in the truck. Look what they did. They pulled up Getz of last year on the right. That's how he was standing upright, and he did that hoping it would generate more power, use your legs more. Now that nice swing on the left there, you saw him how crouched down he was. His bat angle was even different. He's made some adjustments, and he says this year, if I win that job, I'm going to stay healthy and show this world in baseball what I can do, and mainly the team, and help them win. And Ned talks about the value of his leadership on defense, helping Escobar out there at shortstop. He's having a night tonight.
Now, I know it was a down year for the Royals offensively, but it's pretty clear that the department that needs to improve the most is the pitching. And as you pointed out earlier, one way to improve the pitching obviously is to get better pitchers. The Royals did that. But to improve the defense, which didn't need a whole lot of improvement, might be the best team position by position in the American League on defense. But Chris Getz, when in there, when in the lineup, makes the pitchers better defensively.
That's right. Range. Turns 2 nicely. Makes all the routine plays. He'll make a few nice ones too. But he's got experience. And this time of year, and it happened to me, I could play circles around some of the veteran guys when I was a younger player. And I was on that bubble last couple days of spring. And they would take the veteran player. And I would be going home, you know, talk to myself. I never aired my dirty laundry in front of anybody at the ballpark, but I would go home and tell my wife, I can't believe I didn't make the team. I'm a lot better than that guy. Managers like experienced players because they know they've been through the hall and they're trying to win. Lots of managers' jobs are on the line. They want to go with the proven guys.
Johnson throws out Navarro. 2 down in the 7th inning.
There was a player named Juan Bonilla. He was a good second baseman. Didn't have a lot of range. Good hands. But he could pop. He had some pop in his bat.
But he didn't have any range or anything. You know, he was an older player, and he beat me out on the last day with the Yankees, and then I got traded to the Orioles, and sure enough, they picked him up, and he beat me out again the next year. I was saying, Uncle. And Earl Weaver took him over me. And Billy Martin took him over me. And, you know, I was young, but I was inexperienced.
I don't remember Juan Bonilla.
Might be some folks out there that do. I don't know how much time he ended up getting in the big leagues. But look at Gutierrez here. You know, you got to be impressed with this guy. Hard fastball, former closer with the Diamondbacks. There he's buzzing the guy's tower right there. That's a good effective pitch. Nice breaking ball. And another guy that Ned likes the fact that he's got velocity.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Juan Bonilla played parts of 6 years in the big leagues.
Okay.
The Padres, the Yankees, the Orioles, and back to the Yankees. And if it's any consolation to you, Hud, in '85 when he beat you out with the Yankees, he played 8 games that year in the big leagues.
Oof.
But the next year when he beat you out in '86 in Baltimore, he played in 102 games.
Wow, Earl Keppick.
Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of sharing the frustration that goes on this time of year in the spring. It's a tough. I don't go in the clubhouse because there's too much tension in there. I lived that for so many years. And you know the difference between a young player that makes that opening day roster and not is you're covered on the insurance plan for Major League Baseball for free the entire year if you're on that roster opening day. There's a lot on the line for families, players, and there's a lot of guys that are a little bit tight the last week of camp.
And there are plenty of reasons to get excited about spring training this year. And at the same time, there is that old baseball belief that you really have to watch the evaluations you make on players in spring training and in September. Because especially in September when you are not in contention.
Look at that breaking ball. That thing dropped off the table.
Well, we're running out of time to make final roster decisions. And Gutierrez has a strong 7th inning with 2 strikeouts.
The spicy.
Eight-2, Royals lead the Cubs. Joe Goldberg down in the dugout, standing very close to J.C. Gutierrez, who looked real good tonight. After the game, stay with us as we will air the Royals season preview right here on Fox Sports Kansas City. Ryan with a real nice interview with the manager, Ned Yost. Also, we had a chance to talk with Alex Gordon, a little retrospective on his career and how far he has come. That and much more coming up after the game on Royals season preview. And then Ryan, only a few days away from the first Royals Live of the year on Monday in Chicago.
Well, as James Shields was telling you, Joel, I mean, it has been a long spring training. By the way, I want to get both of your perspectives here, Hud and Joel. And, you know, it just hit me this time around. This is the third time they've had the World Baseball Classic, so we've been through this a couple of times, although I don't ever remember games as early as February the 22nd. But why does spring training have to be longer in a World Baseball Classic year? I mean, they're not away playing tennis, right? They're playing baseball at a very high level with a lot of intensity. Hosmer goes up the middle, and Barney, who was a Gold Glover last year.
Joel, you can go first with your opinion. I'll give you mine.
Well, I agree with Ryan. I mean, I'm not sure that what were those guys doing at the World Baseball Classic? Not playing baseball. So I think everybody got their work in and then some, right?
Yeah, but you know, it's a lot of the sour grapes with the U.S. team say that our guys aren't in shape yet. Most of these other teams in other world, they're playing ball. They're already playing baseball. A lot of the Caribbean World Series guys from Mexico and the Dominican and Puerto Rico, they're already in shape. They're playing. They've been playing for a month. So they're saying make it longer.
So make it longer.
Yeah,
no,
get the U.S. guys there early the next 4 years, and then, you know, then they can have a chance to win. But I don't know. It's way too long. And I can tell you, coming just on Sunday, showing up Monday, I could tell a difference in the attitudes of the guys and how they were tired compared to last year when I was here in the first week, and everybody's happy, they're exciting, they're bouncing around. There's been some people dragging around here. You would never know it by the statistics of our Royals and the way they're swinging the bats, but just the monotony of showing up again, coming into the ballpark. They don't have the same hop that they do early in the spring. It's been a long spring, there's no question.
Ryan, you work on him shortening it, not lengthening it, but I did want to tell you guys real quick on Lorenzo Cain, and this involves Rex too. Lorenzo Cain, you know, we've talked a lot about his health, and they really worked with him in the offseason on his legs and some different routines and really strengthening those legs, different running style a little bit too. But one thing Lorenzo said he did back at home was some yoga for the first time, and I don't know if a lot of people know that. He said he never thought that he would see himself doing something like that, but it helped with his flexibility as he is still alive. But he did say, Hud, that he thought for a pregame show, I mean, we're just loading up on the pregame now with the Rex Hud 3 stuff, but he said he would love to go and do yoga with you on the road.
Oh, man, that would be welcome, you know. And Urban Santana, he also does it. So, you know, it's just a form of mental discipline as well as flexibility and stretching all on the mat. So they're not going to get worn out. You know, you don't do a lot of huffing and puffing, although it does work the cardio, but it's a nice way to be able to get in touch with your body. You get to know the muscles a little bit more, and it helps with flexibility. There's no question. I do it because of my 7 operations I had on my right knee. It's arthritic. There's a lot of stuff in it, but it's helped me with the flexibility and my quality of life.
You do yoga almost every day, don't you?
Nah, let's not go that far. 3 days a week is good enough for me.
Okay. Cain nods as he agrees with the call and strikes out. Hector Rondon is the new pitcher for the Cubs. 1 down in the 7th.
You know, and Joel and Ryan, there's a lot of different forms of yoga. I like to do the Bikram yoga. It's a hot yoga that you go into the room. It's 105 degrees. Okay, it takes you a little bit of time to get used to the heat. But as you do the flexibility exercises, you sweat all the toxins out of your body, and it almost conditions your skin. And after you do it for a while, you can tell it makes you feel better. You feel healthier, and you know, you drink a lot of fluid, so you're losing some fluid, but you put it all back in, and it cleans your system. It's really an interesting way to do exercises. I don't suggest it for everybody.
Well, I don't know the proper segue of going from skin and hydration and cleansing the fluids from your body, but let's go down to Joel. He's with Eric Hosmer.
Well, I'll just roll with that. Skin and hydration and your body and whatever you just said. I need to transition from that so I'll just ask you. I mean, you're one of Hud's biggest backers. How about you get on the road and do a little yoga with him?
I need to. You know, if I had as much energy as Hud, I'd be in a good spot throughout the year.
You started that Uncle Hud nickname, did you not?
That's Uncle Hud. You know, that's you know, like I was saying before, you know, baseball's it's a big fraternity, and you know, when you're a young guy, you got older guys kind of showing you the ropes, and you know, older guys that have played in the game, and alumni that have been around, and you know, that's Uncle Hud, man. He's picking someone out on the plane, and he's going to talk to him, and you know, he's a teacher, and you know, we got a bunch of students here, and you know, we love how he helps us out.
All right, he's going to get mad at me for making this all about him, so let's talk a little bit about you. And how's the spring been going? I know talking to Jack Maloof before, he said you're still working on things and trying to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, that's what spring's for. You know, you want to, you know, work on stuff to know what you can go to and what you can't go to throughout the year. And basically, you know, we got, you know, until Friday to get everything right. And then, you know, a couple off days in Chicago, and it's time to strap it on after that.
What did the World Baseball Classic do for you?
You know, that was a great environment for me to play in early on, and you know, playing around those guys I've been around for a while, and you know how to handle big time situations, and you know, basically for me it was it put me in that atmosphere, and you know, that's my biggest thing is trying to do too much and trying to calm it down. So for me to get thrown in an atmosphere like that, you know, and then come back to spring and know what to work on was a huge help for me.
How about the off-season work for you, building a cage at the, I guess, the new house down in Florida? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's called the Castle back home. You know, the fam, my mom, dad, and my brother Mike, they're all over it, taking care of it every day. And, you know, really they're the ones that found it and did all that. I was the sponsor, so to speak. But they, you know, they've done a great job. And, you know, it was a good place for, you know, me and all my buddies to come and work out and hang out and get some good work in. So, you know, it worked out really well for us in the offseason.
We're looking forward to opening day on Monday. You know, HUD was suggesting that maybe with camp being so long, maybe the Americans need to get here a little bit earlier so you guys are as comfortable. You want maybe a longer spring training?
No, you know, it's good right where it's at, you know, but, you know, we're all excited to get out to Chicago and watch HUD dance to Thunderstruck. That's the main thing we're all excited for opening day.
A little AC/DC. You guys will be looking up to the booth as he's playing the air drums. Eric, thank you very much, and best of luck this year. All right, that is Eric Hosmer, perhaps the biggest fan of Uncle HUD, guys.
Dancing to Thunderstruck.
I'm going to stay in my seat, and I'm not going to let the music work me because I just love the game. I'm excited, and music works me. I'm not the only one that works. Obviously, the Chicago people, they play it for a reason. I think it's a great song to get the game started, personally.
Well, you know, you've inspired a handshake on the field after wins. You taught a couple of the young guys, and Eric Hosmer said it. You know, you're a teacher, and they're students wanting to learn things about the game.
Okay, you see Moose and him do that at the end of a game, and you know, I'm a kid at heart. I'm an old man with my legs and my back, but look, you get around these guys, you get around them, you have fun, and it's baseball. That's what baseball is. I was kind of a character, and thankfully, I don't coach, I don't manage, don't ever care to. I just like to be a broadcaster, share the game with the people, and these young guys, they're so young, it's fun to tell them stories and work with them, even though I don't care to do any of that professionally.
Well, they're on their way again tonight to do that handshake on the field. Royals lead by 6 to the 8th inning. The guy out there, he's got it made. Watching the Royals and the Cubs and playing catch with Dad. It's not an easy play to make. I mean, taking ground balls on a hill like that. But he doesn't care if he falls down in the grass.
No, he's got to get that ball back.
All right, Luke Hochevar, this is his 6th appearance out of the bullpen after making a couple of starts. The Royals moved him to the bullpen and wanted to give him plenty of time to acclimate himself to not having as much time to warm up, and the results have been excellent.
So far so good. I mean, Monday night he was filthy, and I mentioned to Steve Fizziak, who was doing the game with me, Fizz, he's got closer stuff tonight, man. I mean, that 96-mile-an-hour fastball and that curveball, that's all you need to close a game down is 2 pitches. Of course, he lacks that experience, and what is yet to be seen. Now, you've seen all the games this year out here. Have they brought Hoch in the middle of an inning to face a hitter?
I have not seen every single one of his appearances, but I'm going to say no. The ones I've seen, he has gotten a clean inning. And he's making the transition all the way to now he's pitching exclusively out of the stretch when he comes out of the bullpen.
And look where he is. He's in the 8th inning. This is typically a setup spot. Now, I'm not saying they're going to use him in that department, but maybe once the season starts and they bring him in to start an inning, they want him to gain some success and get some confidence, and then they might bring him in on a certain situation on the right-hander in the middle of an inning. Maybe that's what Ned's thinking, because he's got to gain confidence, you know, in that role. He's been a starter his whole career. Yeah, nice. His form's good, and he's got the stuff. We all know that. Confidence is going to be his biggest challenge. Staying focused mentally. It's a different animal coming out of the pen.
This is Nate Shearholtz. He's going to bat for Dave Suppelt with 1 out in the 8th inning. You think about all the new things for Hochevar in this role. Pitching out of the bullpen, we mentioned that, so that role changes. Pitching out of the stretch exclusively. You mentioned at some point coming in the middle of an inning with guys on base. He doesn't have a clean inning.
Pressure.
And the Royals are evaluating, I'm sure, tonight, because he just pitched 2 nights ago and used to having 4 days in between his starts. How quickly will his arm bounce back? Can he pitch in back-to-back games? Can he pitch in 3 consecutive games? How much time does he need in between appearances where he's going to be as close to 100% as possible?
How's his body going to respond? Still a lot of questions. So, but what we're seeing now is he just took the lumber from the hitter, Shearholtz. And he's got that fastball that's going to break a lot of bats. Does he come in on his hands in that big curveball? Really, in this role, he needs 2 pitches. And remember, last year Dave Island had fits with him because he had so many pitches, a sinker and a cutter, and all these pitches he was experimenting with, his changeup, fastball, big curve. You know, he needed to simplify. So maybe this can get Hoch's career back on track. Look at 2 pitches is all he needs for just a short outing like this. That's great stuff. I mean,
1 inning, maybe 2 innings, so he won't see the lineup 2 times through, so he can just air it all out because the hitter may see his fastball and curveball tonight, but they might not see it again for 2 weeks.
Which could really bode well for Ned Yost and the Royals. If they can find a guy like this and all of a sudden he gains confidence. Look at that breaking ball. I mean, he can hit that. That's all right. That just stayed up a little bit. Credit the hitter for that. That's a good piece of hit.
5 hits for the Cubs. The Royals have 15. And now David DeJesus, a former Hochevar teammate. Yeah, I was looking through the record book, and when David DeJesus' career comes to an end, there will be some Royals Hall of Fame consideration. He is in the top 10 all time in at-bats, runs, hits, doubles, triples, batting average, total bases, extra base hits, and on base percentage. top 10 all time.
I'd say that's some consideration.
Runner goes. And the Royals really didn't hold Schierholtz at first. So we'll see how they score it. Unfortunately, the Royals didn't do a whole lot of winning when David DeJesus was in Kansas City. But the years that he was with the Royals, he was the most consistent and productive hitter over that span. The end of 2003 through 2010. By the way, they called that a stolen base for Schierholtz.
I mean, he's had a nice career. He's got some time left, too.
Two-0. Over the last 10-15 years, David DeJesus probably had, you talk about a pitcher who has a good feel for pitching, good feel for what they have to work with. David DeJesus had a great feel for who he was. You never saw David DeJesus try and play above his means. He knew the strike zone. He rarely took bad pitches. He rarely swung at bad pitches.
Very, very good plate discipline. Takes a lot. I mean, worked himself into a good count here. 2-0. I would be shocked if Hoach didn't throw a nice fastball for him right down the middle. He's got a good lead. Challenge him here.
And he did. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Go right after him. Make him hit it. Spring training game. Although we talked about how these players are trying to reach game speed, because they're going to want to hit the ground running on Monday. Actually, Sunday is the first game.
Two and two.
Okay, he was reaching 96 on the gun on Monday. I'm seeing some 93s and 94s, and that's good. That's more than enough with that curveball. And if he really needs to bring in one of those other pitches, maybe that changeup or another one of those cutters or something, he can at times. But really a low to mid 90s fastball is plenty good enough to get a big league hitter out. But you got to have something else to show the hitter. And he's got that.
Something else I've noticed with Hochevar since moving to the bullpen is his tempo. Seems to be pitching with more conviction. I mean, getting the ball back and just on the attack.
Well, you can tell by his body language that he's relieved to be a reliever, if that makes sense. He when they put him in the bullpen early, I applaud Ned Yost and company for making the move as early as they did, to let him get settled in it. Give him a few weeks, give him 2 or 3 weeks to let him accept his role when he can go out there and pitch to guys when it doesn't count. Instead of wait until this week, now you say, oh, now you're going to the pin now. Now he's not quite sure of himself, and the bell rings, and it's for keeps. He could be a really nice weapon for Ned.
Into right center field, DeJesus will drive in Schierholtz. And DeJesus trying to get those legs ready for opening day. He has a stand-up triple. And that's the first run allowed by Luke Hochevar since moving to the bullpen.
Yeah, and so look, there's nothing wrong with that. He challenged him. He threw him 3 or 4 fastballs, and he missed with location. That ball's up and elevated, and a big league hitter knows it's coming. He can put that in play a lot easier. Now, if Hoach puts that on the corner, either side or down, he swings and misses or maybe fouls it off, but that was the cookie.
DeJesus worked him for an 8-pitch at bat before driving in the run with the triple, and now ball 1 to Steve Clevenger. That's into right center field. So the Cubs with 2 runs in the 5th and now 2 runs in the 8th to make it an 8-4 game.
Yeah, and once again, look where the catcher's setting up right there, and that's down the middle. That's Salvi. He's sitting right there, and that's where Hoach put it. But for previous 2 hitters before him, hit the ball hard. Now it's contagious.
That's Luis Valbuena. I said Clevenger. He's hitting in Clevenger's spot, but Luis Valbuena, the Royals have seen him with the Indians and the Mariners. This is still Anthony Rizzo, who started the game at first base and so far is 0 for 3.
All right, that's the first changeup we've seen from Hoach.
No strikes. Alfonso Soriano, who drove in 108 for the Cubs last year, is on deck. And now 4-pitch walk. So the inning began with a ground ball to second. Shearhall single, DeJesus tripled, Clevenger doubled, and now a walk to put 2 on for Soriano.
Okay, so I've noticed a difference in his velocity after pitching on Monday night. He's down about 3-4 miles an hour. Okay, and those are the things that Dave Island and Ned Yost will be evaluating. They'll be looking at that and saying, well, okay, we just thrown a couple days in a row here. His location on his fastball is down the middle, and he's going to get hit. So they're evaluating all this stuff here. And there's 1 out. And I'm sure Dave, like he did so many times last year after he made a visit out to the mound, talked that pitcher into getting a ground ball double play right here. You never know. That's probably what he told him. And Soriano is a veteran hitter. Should be a good challenge here.
Ball 1. 32 home runs for Soriano to go with those 108 RBIs. Good swing, man. He was right on that pitch.
But it was away from him. It was on the outside part of the plate. If that's on the middle, he's going to give that ball a ride. In a game of inches, look at that flamingo kick. He's got a beauty. That's a timing mechanism a hitter uses. Some toe tap, some flamingo, others just spread out and don't even take a stride. A lot of different ways that hitters use their lower half for timing.
He went around.
Yeah, he went and he committed. Nice block by Salvi.
But Soriano is able to muscle it into center field. And coming around to score is Valbuena, and it's a 3-run inning for the Chicago Cubs. He didn't hit it hard. He maybe even cracked his bat, but he got enough of it.
Salvador Perez is sitting up on the inner half, and you know that ball was well located, although it was elevated. Any balls that are elevated still have a chance to be put in play by professional hitters, and that's what he did. Good jump out there at second base on contact.
It stayed up, and Hairston Fouls it off to the first base side and out of play. There's those 20 home runs that Hairston hit last year. That's a pretty low RBI total for 20 home runs.
A lot of solo shots. He's got some thump. That was with the Padres too in that big yard. Of course, you don't play every game at the home field, but if he goes to Wrigley Field, he might hit just as many, maybe more, depending on how much playing time he gets.
Fastball right by him at 94 miles an hour. The last 5 Cubs have reached. Still no balls, 2 strikes. Cubs had 5 base runners total in the first 7 innings. And that was against James Shields, Tim Collins, Kelvin Herrera, and J.C. Gutierrez. And Hochevar retired the first hitter in this inning, and then a single, a triple, a double, a walk, and another single. That ball is launched to left field. Alex is all the way back to the track to bring it down. So that was, what, maybe a millimeter on the barrel of the bat from tying the game.
Right. 0-2 pitch. I would have called it for a changeup, or for a punch out, or a rollover double play there. But, you know, Salvador knows more than me. But you throw enough fastballs and curveballs, and there's one that's right down the middle, elevated.
So the Royals still lead by 3, and the batter is DIONER NAVARRO. Cubs did not have a good offensive season last year, which shouldn't be a big surprise when you lose 101 games. They were 2nd from the bottom in team batting average, 3rd from the bottom in runs scored. Got the call. 1 ball, 1 strike.
All right. Curveball on the outside. Salvador Perez framing it up nicely.
And now here's where you can simulate the regular season, a reliever getting up in a hurry.
Yeah, because this game could easily be tied right now. Harrison just missed.
Three and 1.
And I'm not counting his pitches, but he's thrown a ton of pitches in this inning.
31 to be exact.
And James Shields threw 31 pitches through 3 innings.
That is a fair ball all the way down into the right field corner. Rizzo will score easily. Soriano will score. Navarro has a double to give the Cubs a 5-run 8th inning, and it is a 1-run game.
Well, way too many fastballs out over the middle of the plate, and hitting's contagious, just like everything else is in baseball, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing some location pitches that just aren't where they should be, and that's why they're barreling them up. We've seen a lot of that when he was a starter, just right down the middle.
Well, this is not what Ned Yost wants to do. At the same time, it is something he wants to do to get Aaron Crow used to getting up quickly, coming into a game when they really need an out, because Aaron Crow will do that many times this year.
He will, and this could be a good lesson for Hoche right here.
Royals lead was 8-2 coming into the inning. Now it's 8-7. But we have a new feature during our telecast this year. Text in your questions to the booth. We'll try and answer them for you every night. And when you text in, just like in the You Call It question last year, you will get a bounce back text message to become eligible to win 2 Crown Club tickets to Sunday home games.
Oh, that's going to be sweet. People talk to us.
Feature last year that Joel created, Twitter Tuesday. Remember that?
Yeah.
He'd bring us some of the questions to be answered during the game.
You know, this game, Ryan's all about the people anyway. I mean, I think it's great to include them in our broadcast. Look at Crow. He looks like he's got his hairdo all cropped up this year. I mean, you know, all tight. Collins got a haircut too in the offseason. Different look.
And he comes on with the tying run at second base and 2 outs. Pitch. No balls, 2 strikes.
Yep. I'm sure that Chicago Cubs hitting coach said, you know what, this guy's got a good slider. That still can't help you, even though you know he's got it. Hard to hit. It's a good one. It has downward angle to it. Really hard for a hitter to square that up, especially when it's off the plate, where it's supposed to be.
He did not go. Brent Lillibridge is 0 for 3 tonight with an RBI. Kim is the pinch runner at second base for DIONER NAVARRO, who made it a 1-run game with his 2-out, 2-run double. Got him looking. However, the Cubs make it a game with a 5-run 8. Royals suffered a loss in the family. Minor league pitcher Carlos Fortuna passed away on Sunday, and I can't give you all of the details on his life and his illness and his time in the Royals organization, but I would encourage you to go to Royals.com and read a beautifully written story by longtime writer Dick Cagle. But Carlos Fortuna, at such a young age, had a long fight with cancer, passed away on Sunday, and the Royals organization, beginning with owner David Glass and president Dan Glass, when they recognized that the hope was slim for his recovery from cancer, they went out of their way to pay for his medical bills and make him enjoy every last moment of his professional career. And many times he was called up to the Royals, didn't get a chance to play on the roster, but got a chance to sit in the bullpen, shag batting practice. In 2011, he was introduced during opening day, and I'm sure very few fans at Kauffman Stadium knew who Carlos Fortuna was, and that really wasn't important. What was important is that knowing that his chances of getting to the big leagues were next to nothing, that he got a chance to stand on the line during opening day and be introduced. And while he didn't get very close to the big leagues as a player, he became very close to many players who are on the Royals now. And again, if you read the story, you will hear about the impact his life had on many players on this team. So it was very, very interesting reading some of the players' comments in Dick Hagel's story. A sad story that somehow had a happy ending, because many players learned a lot about life and perspective just being around a young man whose life was cut short, but in his final days always had a big smile on his face.
Yeah, and a very classy gesture on the Royals organization to recognize that, and giving him a chance to come up and experience some major league action. And so many people battle that dreaded disease, and others. This kid really encouraged a lot of people with his strength.
Chris Getz, who is 4 for 4, is 5 for 5 because of his hustle.
He smelt that 5th knock. Getsy, you better save those, man. I only had one 5-hit game, but never in spring training. Come on, man, you can't keep those. But still, look at the hustle. Look at the desire. He says, I'm going to beat him. Ty goes to the runner. Way to go, Getsy. There he goes.
Well, the Royals still have high hopes for Johnny Giavotella. Ned Yost, when Chris Getz made the team as the regular second baseman, made it very clear of that. And he made it very clear that this team is built on pitching, speed, and defense. And at this point in their careers, Chris Getz is ahead of the pack in 2 of those 3 categories. He doesn't pitch, but he's got the speed, he plays defense, and you need guys like Billy Butler in the lineup who can hit and drive in the runs and pile up the extra base hits. But when the power isn't firing on all cylinders for the Royals, as the old saying goes, speed doesn't slump, and speed finds a way to show up every day.
Got that right. Even though he can't keep these 5 hits, and none of these players that are out here today can keep any of their spring training stats on the back of their bubblegum card, you still only know one way to play the game. Compete and try. Give it everything you got. And I've mentioned a few times about the game speed these guys are trying to get to. Full season game speed. We just saw it right there. Chris Getz smelling that 5th hit. Got it. With some great hustle.
Billy Butler strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. He has also driven in his team-leading 19th run. 1 away in the 8th inning. Zach Putnam now pitching for the Cubs.
He's got a nice breaking ball.
Mike Moustakas has driven in 2 more, 15 for the spring. One of them on a long home run to right, and that is his 5th.
So you're seeing both teams here going with their regulars all 9 innings here. No, we're not quite there yet, but it's what managers typically do last 4 or 5 games in spring training.
I mentioned earlier Lorenzo Cain last year being the guy that just really stands out from the very beginning of spring training. This year, in my book, it was Mike Moustakas. I mean, he just was The ball was coming off his bat in the early games like nobody else in the lineup.
Gosh, but man, it's hard to ignore what Alex Gordon's been doing, though.
I mean, I'm talking about the games early on. You know, remember, now times have changed because, you know, the players make enough money now where they can concentrate on baseball year-round, so their timing isn't as off as it was when you played. Remember, they said the pitchers are always ahead of the hitters.
All the time.
But there's always a hitter. That's not the case. Okay. And the first 3-4 days of spring training, it was Mike Moustakas. He's cooled off a very little bit since.
So you're saying from the very first time they started playing games, he was raking?
I'm saying every year there seems to be a guy in the first 2 or 3 games that he looks like he played all winter ball. His timing is already there.
And you know, David Lowe, use him as an example as a guy who does not have a position on the team. Worked really hard to come in to camp in game shape, mid-season form, so you can impress to make a team or impress all the 29 other scouts that are here.
Well, we had J.J. Piccolo in the booth, Royals assistant general manager, and you asked him who were some of the guys we might see this year. David Lowe is the first name he brought up. Now, would J.J. have said that a year ago? Probably not.
Because he didn't have much of a spring.
But by showing up, he didn't make the club. But by showing up and playing the way he did, you know, you move up on the depth chart, if there is such a thing in baseball.
That's what you do if you're a young player. You got to come ready. But it's nice that you saw it from Moose, and another nice hit.
He is going to drive in his 3rd run of the game as Getz comes all the way around from first base, and the Royals get one of those runs back in the bottom of the 8th, and now have a 2-run lead, 9-7.
And you know, there's a reason that Ned penciled him in as the number 4 hitter this year and not Billy Butler, and it's because of what you're talking about. I mean, from start to finish this spring, he's just tearing the cover off the ball. That's how you win a job. Look at Getz, no problem. 5 hits. Have a night, gets it.
A couple of those hits were extra base hits, a double and a triple. Salvador Perez has 2 hits and a home run. That was his first of the spring. His home run to straightaway center field up on the grass. 17 hits tonight for the Royals.
But I tell you what, I'm seeing some really nice stuff from this kid Putnam. He's got a changeup, a nasty curve, and a good low 90s fastball. He's yorking. Three nice pitches he's using. He's moving it all over.
Just outside.
Earlier in the ball game, we saw Royals laying some wood on Scott Feldman, dead center field. Pilot to Bombardier tonight, man. That ball's flying all over the ballpark.
Oof. Can't hit it harder than that. And when you hit it that hard, you have to hit it right at the defender for it to be an out.
There's a lot of terms they use for those hits in the grand game. Frozen rope is one of them.
Trolley wire.
Trolley wire? You could hang a week's worth of laundry on that liner. That ball.
Oh, when it goes that far to the outfield, I mean, you could hang a month's worth of laundry on that one,
you
right?
You got that right.
This is Max Ramirez and his first at-bat. He appeared as a pinch runner for Hosmer in the 7th inning. Max Ramirez has had a nice spring for the Royals. He has 14 RBIs. That is the 3rd highest total behind Alex Gordon and the team leader Billy Butler. So the Royals get a run back on the double by Moustakas, who is driven in 3. The run scored by Chris Getz, who has 5 hits. to the 9th inning. The Royals lead by 2. Royals by 2 to the top of the 9th inning. Nice crowd here tonight as we're winding down the spring games, and one of the great features of the Cactus League stadiums and the Grapefruit League for the same concept as the grass berm, allowing the fans to do that close to the action, but the kids can play in the grass. They can spread out a blanket and watch the game, get a lot closer to the field in the outfield than they normally would during the regular season.
Not much better fun that you can have with your kids than at a ball game, especially out here where the weather's nice and you're on the grass. Beautiful thing. But I know a lot of fans that love to come to Kauffman Stadium and enjoy their summers with their family members too. It's a great venue. Why not? Got the fountains out there. It's cool. You can stand out there now with the newly renovated Kauffman Stadium. Plus that big board they have in center field is just unbelievable. How much fun that is to just watch that thing.
Hooked up the left field line, and that's a fair ball. BARNEY begins the 9th inning with a double. The Cubs did very little in the first 7 innings, and then they scored 5 in the 8th to make it a 1-run game. The Royals got a run back in the bottom of the 8th. Now the tying run at the plate for the Cubs with nobody out.
But you know, Ryan, it's hard for Royals fans right now to go to the K and look at all the ice and the snow on the field and even think that far ahead, as we had a shot on Monday night of what the field looked like. Hard to picture that, but you know what? Spring is right around the corner.
Good fastball, 96 from Aaron Crow.
That was Monday. And I'll tell you, I flew out Sunday and was lucky I had my flight in the afternoon because the morning flights were canceled. I mean, that's a pretty good little storm they got there at the end of March. And after that second storm, I put the kids' snow stuff away. I said, we're done. For sure we're done. Put them all away, put them in storage and all that. And my wife made me drag them all back out. She said, have fun in Arizona.
So how did the kids enjoy those 3 big snowfalls?
Oh, it was awesome, man. We made a 6-foot, maybe a 7-foot snowman. It had a lot of girth on him because we had so much snow. It was unbelievable. And, you know, there were some other snowmen in the neighborhood, and we saw them, and you know, they weren't the real big ones, and I told my boys, guys, let's go. Let's put him right in the front yard, and let's make him big. And let's put a Royals cap on him, and let's make him look like a Royal. And we had a good time, and only Royal stuff I had, I didn't really want to waste on the snowman, though. But he kept melting little by little. We come home from school and they go, Daddy, look at our snowman. Oh, no. That is fun, man.
Deep right center field. And off of Kane's glove. A long run to get there. It'll be an RBI triple for Shearholtz. It is 9-8 as Barney comes around to score.
And Lorenzo Kane, he outran the ball. He had it in his glove. But he's not happy about it. Okay, now when this ball was hit, I didn't think there was going to be any Royal get close to it. But Kane, man, he put on the afterburners. Look at this thing. He had it. Oh, man. Look at him. He's bumped. Ran all that way and dropped it. Okay, this is a meaningless spring training game. Does it look meaningless to you, Ryan?
Not right now, especially when you're getting to the final tune-ups before the regular season. The tying run is at third with nobody out. Aaron Crow got the Royals out of a mess in the 8th inning with a strikeout. Now he'll have to get himself out of his own mess in the 9th.
RIZZO will have to get him a new bat, or is that DeJesus?
Yeah. The Chicago Cubs, after 7 innings, had 2 runs, 4 hits. And now in the last 2 innings, they have 6 runs on 7 hits.
Okay, he's putting a little stickum on the handle of his bat right there for you folks that wonder what he was just doing there. Makes it nice and sticky so he can get a good grip. The former Royal.
DeJesus, I thought, really had the key at bat in the 5-run 8th. Coach Haber came on. He got Darwin Barney on a ground ball to second base. And Nate Shearholtz single to center. So 1 on, 1 out in a 6-run game. But then DeJesus had an 8-pitch at bat. Fouled off some tough pitches. Really didn't have good swings on the pitches that he fouled away. But then he got a hittable pitch, turned it into a triple. Then an RBI double, then a walk, then a single, and then with 2 outs, a 2-run double.
You know, you got to give the Cubbies some credit. Heck, they've been swinging the bats. And of course, Hoach was having a little bit of a hard time with his location, though. Too many fastballs down the middle, but they're swinging the bats.
Kane dives to make the play. But the game is tied on a sacrifice fly. Shearholtz scores. And the Chicago Cubs have come up with 7 runs in the last 2 innings.
What a nice catch by Kane. What a rebound after that drop ball in the gap. He made an excellent first step on this, and he comes charging hard, picks it right off the ground, but damage was done. Nice tag up there by Shearholtz. He was waiting. And with Cubs got a little action in their bullpen. Typically in spring training games, they run out of pitch and it's over.
Moustakis makes the play on Valbuena for the 2nd out.
You know, during the regular season, you feel like you just got punched in the gut. But in spring training, isn't it a beautiful thing, Ryan? Regardless of what happens, win, lose, or tie, we can all go home and come back tomorrow.
And the Royals' record in the regular season is still 0-0.
That's right.
Got to be careful with this guy, Anthony Rizzo. He's been quiet tonight, 0 for 3. Walked and scored in the 5-run 8th inning. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Royals fans over the last few years have been punched in the gut, haven't they? Royals fans? They let me know that last year. They couldn't understand the enthusiasm I was having. I said, you better just calm down a little bit. We haven't won here in a long time.
Last winning season was a surprising winning season in 2003. Royals stayed in contention till the middle of September. So that would be the last time, as you were saying, fans have been coming up to you and saying we want to play some meaningful games in September. That was the last time, 2003. Crow got the call.
That's largely because of that outstanding, enthusiastic, and passionate young catcher, Salvador Perez. He held that nicely on the corner there.
Did he go? Yes. And RIZZO is ejected from the game for slamming his helmet in the grass. And whether that was directed or the umpire at the umpire or just out of his own frustration, didn't look like he went around.
No,
he is gone. One ball, one strike. Royals scored 7 of their 9 runs against the Cubs starter, Scott Feldman. 12 of the 17 hits came against Feldman in fewer than 5 innings. Now 1 and 2 on Kane. Two balls, 2 strikes. Royals have at least 1 hit in every inning, and they have been held scoreless in only 2 innings. In the 5th, when they had a couple of base runners, and in the 7th, when they had a couple of base runners. So there hasn't been one easy inning for a Cubs pitcher tonight. Pitch is down and away. 3-2. Hit hard and past the shortstop and into left center field. Willibridge going into a slide, but it was off of his glove, and that is base hit number 18 for the Royals, and the second for Lorenzo Cain. Well, when you lose 101 games, many things go wrong, and we mentioned earlier about the Cubs and where they were offensively, down around the bottom in just about every offensive category, and then they had their problems pitching. They were 14th in ERA. They had the fewest saves of any National League team. They had 28 saves as a team, along with 21 blown saves. Cain runs and Frank Coeur fouls it away.
Frenchie's bat's a lot quicker. He's running better. He's got a little more quickness in his step. He worked. He knew he had to.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
He wants to be a difference maker this year.
Well, you talked earlier about the mechanical adjustment that he's made at the plate, trying to eliminate that wrap. And the first few weeks of spring training, he really wasn't making a whole lot of solid contact as he was getting used to hitting major league pitching with that change. Cain moves up to second base on a stolen base, so the winning run is in scoring position. But over the past week or so, something has clicked for Frank Coeur, and he's really starting to drive the ball again, especially to the middle of the field, getting back to left center, over to right center. He had a long home run in Tempe against the Angels the other day, where he hit a home run over the batter's eye in straightaway center field.
No, and it's good that he's finishing strong here in Surprise to give him some confidence going into the season.
He's had some good swings in this at bat. Still 2-2.
He's liking that heater that Corradine's throwing it.
Justin. Justin. Right here, baby.
Boy, he's got a lot of pitches up, and that one was off speed and up. Corradine's lucky that that ball went out of the ballpark behind home plate instead of out in front of home plate.
Yeah, he better be careful with Frenchie right now. It's the 8th pitch coming.
Three and 2. Elliott Johnson is on deck. Frank Coeur has 2 home runs, 13 RBIs this spring. He strikes out. So Cain is at second with 1 down.
That's a veteran hitter knowing that the young rookie's going to throw him a fastball. He was sitting all over fastball, and the kid executed a nice slider.
Elliott Johnson is 1 for 3. Been on base with a single and a walk. And he goes back to that breaking ball. 0-1. Kane to third, and the ball pops out of Valbuena's glove. Otherwise, Kane might have been out. Pretty strong throw down to third base, and now the winning run is at third with one away.
You know, that's going from a dead standstill there. Easier to steal that base there by walking into that lead. You can get a little bit better jump. Now, he might have been out. But when you go from a dead standstill like that, it's a little bit harder. You can get a walking lead from second base.
And now Johnson strikes out. Cubs have the infield in. Johnson has some words with the home plate umpire Greg Stanzak, and it's been a heated last inning with the Cubs and the Royals. Now both teams chewing on the umpires.
And Johnson did all he could with his body language to make that look like it was a ball.
And now Alex Gordon, who has 3 hits. He has scored 3 times. He has driven in a run with his 5th home run of the spring.
I like to see this kind of game right here, Ryan. Excuse me. They're playing. They're competing right now.
That's not a big league play right there.
His third
baseman was farther away from third than he was.
So if you're Lorenzo Cain, now watch him now. Lorenzo, he started back to the bag, and then he goes, man, he's not going to throw it. Look. So what you do is you get a big lead, you get as much as that third baseman gives you, and you steal home on him right here. Game over. I think that would make Ned a little bit unhappy if he did that, but look, you can get as big a lead as that third baseman's going to give you. If he's now he's coming back a little bit, but that third baseman's way off the bag like that, you can get a big initial lead, come all the way down that line, and take off. Of course, we dream a lot.
3 balls and 1 strike. And waiting on deck is Chris Getz, who already has 5 hits tonight.
I stole home off David Wells like that. Travis Fryman was way off the base like that, and I walked down the line like that. Wells went from his windup, and I took off and ripped him off. You can do it.
That's the pitch that struck out Frank Coor, and a pitch that Corradine used to get ahead of Johnson before he struck out, and now throws it to Alex on a 3-1 pitch.
Fooled him.
Maybe he'll snap one of those off in the dirt. Into left center field, and that will end the inning. So the Royals have the winning run at second base with nobody out. The winning run at third with 1 out. And Esmailin Corradine, at least according to the Rex Hudler book of pronunciations, gets the Cubs out of the 9th inning. We'll play 10 innings. And before we got to the 10th, there's Dale Swaim. And he is signaling over to Ned Yost, saying the same thing. Now, Dale Swaim was a member of Ned Yost's coaching staff in Milwaukee, so they worked together, and that's their way of just saying, okay, one more inning, and that's it. And it will be Sam Runyon who will pitch the 10th inning. Runyon last year pitched at Wilmington and at Northwest Arkansas, and at both stops his ERA was about 2.3. He is a former second-round pick of the Royals. He has Soriano to lift one to right field, and Frank Coor will bring it down. Soriano is 1 for 5.
Nice camera work by our guys, showing a little body language, some sign language going amongst the two managers.
Yeah, that was not one more inning and then I'm going to slit your throat. It was just one more inning and we're done, right?
That's what it was. I read that. Did you?
But for those who don't know the
sign language,
of, you know, we're done, that could be interpreted as something else. Ball 1 to Scott Hairston. So Runyon is going to face a hitter who had 32 home runs last year, and Soriano, he flied out, and now a hitter who had 20 home runs in Scott Hairston. And Hairston, 1 ball, 1 strike.
So this young man right here, Runyon, was not going to get in this game unless it went extra innings. And look at the opportunity. He probably, might be his first time all spring. He's got a chance to come up here and pitch. This is a big game for him. He's pumped. He gets a chance to see his name in a big league box score and his folks back home and everything. So good for him getting a chance to get out there and show what he's got.
And the folks back home are watching in Asheville, North Carolina, where the Royals drafted Runyon in 2007 out of high school. He was the Royals' second-round pick in 2007. And 2 fly balls to right in the top of the 10th inning.
No problem. Look at him. He's a big leaguer right now.
24 years old now. The Royals have brought him along very slowly. Drafted in 07, and last year, for his final 10 appearances, that was the first time he advanced above A ball.
Ooh, I like that. That looked good there. He had a little movement on that pitch. You say he was drafted out of high school?
Drafted out of high school.
Yeah.
Yep, Asheville High School.
Yeah, it takes longer. They make you wait longer, you know. It's just, 17 years old, and it's a lot to learn. Hopefully he doesn't have to spend 6 years in A ball.
Good inning. 2 fly balls to right and a strikeout.
Nice. 2 quick outs and a punch out on that big league resume. Spring training. Excellent job.
Well, in some ways, it's been a full moon type of a night. The Royals looked like they were running away tonight. They, at one point, had a 7-0 lead and then an 8-2 lead at the end of 6. The Cubs in the 8th scored 5 to make it a 1-run game. The Royals got a run back and led by 2 going into the 9th. The Cubs scored 2 to tie it. Both teams agreed to play one more inning, and Chris Getz will lead off the 10th. He is 5 out of 5 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBIs.
What a night. Let's chronicle it. First time up. Fastball inside. Feldman tried to sneak a piece of cheese by him. Triple. Knocked in a run. That got off the end of the bat. Little wrinkle there, but he dropped it in for a base hit. Then he fought that high fastball off. Nice. This one he put it down there. Now that was the 4th hit. Now with the 5th hit, he earned it. If he missed that, he beat that out. Hit a little ground ball to the first baseman. Pitcher covering. Beat it out for his 5th hit.
Well, a home run here would do a lot of things. It would win the game, and it would complete a cycle.
Here's the 5th hit. He earned it.
Two balls, 1 strike. This is Jeff Antigua pitching for the Cubs. He is their 6th pitcher tonight.
I guarantee you he wants that 6th hit badly.
And he will get it.
Nice.
Chris Getz is 6 for 6. Now, if this were a regular season game, that would tie a Royals record.
Wow. Some kind of night offensively from Getzy. That ball was down. He stayed with it. He golfed it out there. Call the cops on Getzy. He is going off. I think he wants to rip off a base too right here.
Ball 1 to Billy Butler. Bob Oliver. In 1969, the Royals' first year had a 6-hit game. Kevin Seitzer had a 6-hit game against Boston in '87, and Joe Randa had a 6-hit game in 2004 at Detroit. Now, of course, tonight doesn't count. But it's almost more remarkable in spring training because normally guys don't play long enough to get 6 hits.
First time I've ever seen that in the spring training game.
Ball on the ground to Valbuena. Out at second base, and the Cubs turn a double play.
And Getzy gets a piece of the second baseman. He didn't just turn out of the way, run out of the way, slide way up in the line. He went and got a piece of him. I like it. That's the way to play the game. Chino Carajilla, as long as that man's been in the game, he's probably never seen a 6-hit spring training game either.
Mike Moustakas has a 2-hit game, and he's driven in 3. Royals have hit 4 home runs, and those 4 home runs came in the first 4 innings. Kane in the 2nd, Moustakas and Perez back-to-back in the 3rd, and then Gordon in the 4th.
Way to go, Moose. Just touch your eyes and swing. All right.
2 balls, 2 strikes. So we're 1 strike away from a tie. The Royals are 23-7-1. They tied their first spring training game with the Rangers, and they won 12 games in a row.
Look at the Cubs outfield. Their backs against the wall. No doubles.
And it will be a tie tonight. So both teams run off the field. I guess you don't shake hands on the field. That'd be the only time that there is no shaking hands on the field when the game's over, is when it's a tie.
What a ball game.
So big night on offense for the Royals. 9 runs on 19 hits. There were plenty of positives tonight, and we'll review the ball game when we come back to Surprise right after this.